you wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Okay, friends and neighbors, we'll get back to this morning's programming in just a second here, but first a little word with you about Free Speech TV. Well, they did it, they did it. Yep, damn Republicans shut down the government, and you know what? They shut down the government because they ran out of money. Well, we're going to have to shut down free speech if we run out of money. No, we're not going to shut it down, but we do need your help to keep going here with the great programming on Free Speech TV. I'm the new kid on the block, but Tom Hartman, Amy Goodman, Democracy Now!, David Pakman been here a long time, and the kind of programming that you get on Free Speech TV. I ran into someone yesterday who was so excited. He said, Free Speech, I love it because they broadcast the Netroots Conference every year. He said, all kinds of good stuff on free speech, but without any corporate money, that's how we can be so independent, without any government money, without any political campaign ads running on Free Speech TV. It's all up to you, our viewers across this great land of ours, to keep us going. So I ask you to go to the toll-free number, 877-378-8669, and make your pledge, or go to the website, freespeech.org. And if you're already a supporter of Free Speech TV, we thank you and ask you to renew your sponsorship at this time. And if not, if you're new to free speech like I am, then join up and keep us going, keep us on the air. If you can help us with $120 a year, that's just $10 a month. Send you a copy of my book, Toxic Talk, about the right-wing radio world and all the crazies who are on there, and also about the good lefties who are on talk radio, like me and Tom Hartman and Stephanie Miller and Ed Schultz, and how we can, what liberals have to do to really level the playing field. If you can help us with $240 a year, which is just $20 a month for all this good programming, a copy of Toxic Talk, and a copy of How the Republicans Stole Religion, which refutes the Republicans' attempt to get a monopoly on faith and to say they're the one faith party and the Democrats are not. And how about it? For $360 a year, that's just $30 a month, Toxic Talk, How the Republicans Stole Religion, and the latest book, my latest book, The Obama Hate Machine, about the Koch brothers, the evil Koch brothers and their big machine, which is trying to pollute American politics. So that's what we've got to offer to you for $120, for $240, for $360 a year. Help us out here at Free Speech TV because we're proud to be so independent, just interested in telling the truth every day with no corporate influence at all. We can only do that with your help right here on Free Speech TV. The number again, 877-378-8669. Or you can go to freespeech.org. Back to the news.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Oh, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork, loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look, your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach your
likes
kids
you.
how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we have pep talkers standing by to get you motivated for your GED diploma. Text the name Terry to 69222 for a sympathetic pep talk.
You show people what you really are.
Or for a gentle pep talk, text the name Deborah.
You know you're going to make people very proud of you.
And if that's not enough, text the name Danny for an extreme pep talk.
Prove everyone wrong. Show them you're the boss.
Get your GED pep talk and find free GED classes. Text the name of the person you want a pep talk from to 69222.
Broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is the Bill Press Show.
All right, we went from shutdown to lockdown yesterday here in Washington, D.C. Just keeps getting worse and worse. Hey, good morning, everybody. What do you know? Are you ready? It's a Friday. Friday, October 4. Hey, you got it. It's our favorite day here around the Bill Press Show. Love those Fridays. I love seeing them roll around. We know you do too. And thank you for being with us here on the Bill Press Show. Yes, we are coming to you from a nation's capital where it seems we are under siege. 2 shootings here in the nation's capital, both of them within a mile of our studio. Yesterday's, of course, at the Capitol started at the White House. We'll bring you up to date on that. I was just leaving the White House when the whole thing came down yesterday, right in the middle of the Secret Service shutting down the White House and the plaza in front of the White House. And let me tell you, they don't mess around when they've got a little security incident, as they call it. They move. They move fast and don't get in their way. Good to see you today. We got lots to talk about. That plus the shutdown continues. Now we are in day 4 of the shutdown. Republicans are just have determined they're going to take this all the way to the debt ceiling crisis. And in the meantime, Hurricane Karen is heading toward the Gulf Coast. And it looks like FEMA may be brought back into action to help the people down on the Gulf Coast. Lots to talk about this morning. Good to see you. We got the whole team here assembled. Peter Ogburn and Dan Henning. Hello, guys.
Hey. Good morning.
Good morning. With Alicia Cruz on the phones and Cyprian Bolding one more day here on the video cam, because we're coming to you not just on your local progressive talk radio station, which we are, of course. I'm proud to be there for a long time now, but also on Free Speech TV. That's why we need the cameras. Free Speech TV, either on DirecTV or the Dish Network on satellite. And for those of you computer bound or computer lovers, you know, you can always follow the video stream at TawkrTV. YouTube.com/Tawker, TAWKR TV. And that's it.
You got it.
Boy, so we'll get to the shootings. We'll get to the shutdown. We'll get to FEMA in just a second. We're back. We're in the playoffs now, or the first round of playoffs leading up to the World Series. Remember yesterday we told you about the Pirates winning 9-0. They were up against the Cardinals last night in St. Louis. Didn't do so well.
Not so good.
They play Yachty straight away, and he lines it into right center. That's going to send Adams all the way over to third. Oh, it gets away from the center fielder. They're going to try to score him now, and a good play. They might get him. No play. He scores, and it's 9-1 on the third Pittsburgh error of the day.
Oh, my.
9-1. That's how it ended up. Cardinals over the Pirates. That was KMOX. And I don't know if they played out on the West Coast or not, but Atlanta Dodgers played Atlanta. And Vin Scully, who's been calling games for the Dodgers, he was calling when I was in L.A.
For a long time.
I think he started in the 1890s.
I think so. He's a great guy. Not quite so much excitement in his voice, but the Dodgers beat the Braves 6-1.
Let's see what happens. 2-2 to Johnson, and it's a fastball. Got him looking, and that's that. So it took Jansen a while. He made 25 pitches, but nevertheless, he strikes out the side. That's 15 Braves struck out tonight as the Dodgers walk away with a win. 6 runs, 11 hits, no errors for the Dodgers.
I'm sorry. If your team wins for the station that you work for in the playoffs, you might want to sound a little more excited than that.
I would think so. And also, 15 strikeouts?
I'm not going to throw any shade towards Vin Scully, by the way.
Well, I know, but he wasn't real. Yeah,
he's coming back next season. You want to know how many years he's been doing that? How long he's been calling for the Dodgers? I just looked it up.
25.
Guess again. 65.
Are you serious? 65 years?
He's returning next year for a record 65th season for the Dodgers next year. He just signed a contract not that long ago.
He started when he was 2.
He's 85. He's 85 years young.
He started in his 20s. That makes sense.
Yes.
Wow.
65 years of calling games for the Dodgers.
Unbelievable.
Well, yeah.
Is that incredible?
That is. That really is.
So I'm going to cut him a little slack.
Right. By the way, Dodgers seem to have a better time with the Braves than the Nats did.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Good point.
Yeah, let's go right into it with Susan Page, who joins us every Friday from USA Today. Very excited, as always, to have her. Jim McDermott from Washington State, Congressman, great guy, will be here in studio with us, as well as Tom Perriello, who is a former congressman from Virginia, now with the Center for American Progress. There's just part of our guest lineup this morning. But first,
this is the Full Court Press.
Other headlines making news on this Friday. A bizarre interview with John Basso. He's the founder of the famous Heart Attack Grill in Las Vegas, the calorie-loaded restaurant that saw its unofficial spokesperson die earlier this year because of whatever he was eating in the restaurant. Well, Basso yesterday telling Bloomberg News he's likely the only restaurateur in the world who is unapologetically telling you, my food is bad for you, it will kill you, and you should stay away from it. That burger joint, of course, known for some servings that have up to 8,000 calories.
It does beg the question about then why he stays open.
Right. Especially when he says, my food will kill you. And that's a quote.
I think he's trying to avoid a lawsuit and
say,
hey, I told him they could die from eating one of my burgers.
You know, and look, I mean, at least, not that there's anything admirable about what he's doing, but at least he's saying, this is terrible for you. If you're worried about your health, don't come here. If you have blatant disregard for your well-being, maybe we're the restaurant for you.
You know what? It's also a perverse PR stunt because I'm sure some idiots hear that and say, oh, man, that's where I'm going.
I'll beat the burger.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Plenty of support for Obamacare. Several celebrities have been tweeting out all week to tell their followers to sign up for the Affordable Care Act. Lady Gaga yesterday tweeting out a link to healthcare.gov with a picture of herself in one of her costumes holding a sign with the hashtag saying get covered. Others doing the same include Magic Johnson, Kerry Washington of Scandal, and Katy Perry.
You know what? Whoever's lining them up, I think that's a smart move. Yeah. I mean, more people are going to pay attention. Sadly,
I was going to say it's sad. It's sad.
Absolutely, more people will pay attention to Lady Gaga than Claire McCaskill.
Absolutely, you're absolutely right.
Although maybe Claire McCaskill could take a look at some of Lady Gaga's costumes and sort of start integrating that into her house, her floor speeches.
No, I don't want to see that.
And a novel by the late journalist Michael Hastings is coming out next summer. The New York Times reporting Hastings, who died in a car crash this year, was best known for his Rolling Stone interview with General Stanley McChrystal, finished the book before he died. It's called The Last Magazine, and it's about a young journalist during the lead-up to the Iraq War. His widow found a complete draft of the book. She loosely knew that he was writing it, but didn't know the details. She found the draft on his computer after he died and decided to offer it up to a publisher who immediately picked it up.
How interesting.
It'll be out next year.
You know, as an author, it's hard for me to believe you could write an entire book and keep it a secret.
Yeah, I mean, she knew he was working on it, but no one else really knew about it.
All right. Thank you, Dan. Yes, indeed. Well, I got to tell you, I almost fell to my chair at the White House yesterday. Let's start right there. Two events yesterday that really got me upset and excited. And I'll start with the least important, perhaps, which is what happened at the White House when Jay Carney opened up his briefing by just bringing us a date on a couple of things about the shutdown. And he made this, I think, what he thought was a routine announcement.
FEMA, through its regional offices, has been in touch with state and local officials in the Gulf states and stands ready to assist our state and local partners as necessary.
And he pointed on, FEMA has not only been in touch with state officials because Hurricane Karen is booming down and heading toward the Gulf Coast, but they've done more than that.
FEMA has begun to recall currently furloughed employees necessary to serve functions of the agency that protect life and property as they prepare for potential landfall.
And I almost fell off my chair, and I'm thinking, what the hell is going on? What are these guys doing? Look, the government is shut down. If you want people to know how important the government is, if you want people to realize that we depend on the government, then when something happens like that, you don't open them up so then people won't feel any difference. And that's exactly what they're doing with FEMA. I mean, it may sound hard-hearted, but I think it's a huge mistake. And, invite your comments. You want to disagree with me, 866-55-PRESS. I think it's a huge mistake. You've heard me say it before. I think it's a big mistake to leave the air traffic controllers on the job during the sequester and now during the shutdown. Big mistake to leave meat and poultry inspectors on the job. Big mistake to send out Social Security checks, because you see what's happening? Most people don't feel the impact of the sequester. It's all landing on our federal employees. And now these federal employees are being brought back. You know what? Let Florida suffer. Let the American people suffer. And then maybe they'll put pressure on their idiot members of Congress to end this shutdown. Maybe John Boehner would feel the heat. But if they keep picking off the parts that they think we need and the parts that they like, you know what? They're doing just like Obama's doing just like the Republicans have done when they said they wanted to reopen the national parks. And everybody said, no, you can't, including me. No, you can't piecemeal the parts you like and you don't like. Same thing with FEMA. Keep it closed. Make them beg for help and make them put the pressure on Boehner to lift the shutdown. All right, that was one thing. And then I left the briefing. I was going to ask Jay Carney that question. Never got called on. But that's between me and Jay. We'll work that out. So then I leave the briefing, talk to a couple of friends, walk out of the White House, and suddenly all hell broke loose. There were hundreds of tourists out front. There always are in front of the White House, but it seemed particularly busy yesterday. All taking pictures and talking, and suddenly the Secret Service guards just came from everywhere, and they started not just asking people to leave the sidewalk. They were basically picking people up and throwing them across the street in Lafayette Park. And I have my White House pass, and I stayed there and walking up the sidewalk for a little bit until some Secret Service guy told me not even I could stay there, and I didn't know what was going on. But they locked down the White House. I had just managed to get outside. And, of course, that was the big event that happened when a The 34-year-old woman, unarmed woman from Connecticut with her baby in the car. You know, heard about it by now. She crashed into a gate at the White House. That's why they were reacting. On the other side of the White House from where I was, on 15th Street. I was on Pennsylvania Avenue. And then she took off with police in pursuit up Constitution Avenue to the Capitol, ran into some Capitol police, got away from them, circled around the circle in front of the Capitol, went up Constitution Avenue, and where she was stopped, crashed into a barrier, shot, and killed by Capitol Police. But here's the thing. Those Capitol Police, this is so outrageous, I can't believe it, who put themselves on the line to save those members of Congress from a person who was certainly a risk, even though she didn't have a gun. They thought she was armed, put themselves at risk. One of them got hurt when his car crashed into a barrier. And those cops were doing their job, protecting the Capitol, protecting the members of Congress, and not getting paid. Bernie Sanders was as pissed off about this as I was.
You have guys here who are putting their lives on the line every day. 15 years ago, 2 of them were killed.
And as Bernie said yesterday, no pay for these guys.
That this government is shut down today and they're not getting paid is a national disgrace.
It is. It's a national disgrace. It is shameful. And to think that those members of Congress are sitting on their fat asses in their office getting a paycheck, especially those Tea Party Republicans, shut down the government, 800,000 employees out of a job, and hundreds of thousands more, like the Capitol Police, working because they have to, but not getting paid. And again, those members of Congress getting their paycheck. And to think those cops not getting paid is an outrage. If John Boehner had one stretch, one little half an inch of decency, if those Tea Party members had a half of an inch of clemency or decency or basic respect or common sense, they would recognize this. This is a sign, if anything, that this shutdown is really, really bad news. It is hurting the country, it is hurting the economy, and it's hurting those policemen. And what they ought to say today, you know what? Again, if they ought to man up and stand up and say, boy, that incident yesterday showed us how wrong we are. We're sorry. We're lifting the shutdown. And if they don't do that, I think they ought to throw every last damn one of those jerks out of office, starting with John Boehner. 866-55. I hate to get this steamed up this early in the morning, but damn it, I am. Keep FEMA on the job. Sorry, Florida, but talk to John Boehner. Don't talk to me. And come on, get the shutdown over. I mean, don't ask the cops to work for nothing when these congressmen are doing nothing and getting paid. Let's talk about it here Friday morning.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Hey, good morning, everybody. What do you say? This is Bill Press here. We'll be back to today's broadcast with all of our great guests in just a moment here. But first, just a word about Free Speech TV. I started my nationally syndicated radio show in 2005, almost 8 years ago now. And I've also done, think about it, this is my 5th national television show on CNN. I was co-host of Crossfire. I was co-host of The Spin Room. On MSNBC, I was co-host of Buchanan and Press for several years. On Current TV, did a show called Full Court Press, and now the Bill Press Show on Free Speech TV. And I've got to tell you, in all that time, with all those different networks, all those different shows, I never felt as at home and as comfortable and as good about what I'm doing as I do right now on Free Speech TV. I'm so glad to be part of this great network that brings you people like Tom Hartman and Amy Goodman and David Pakman. So proud to join that lineup. But, and this is the kind of media, the reason I feel so comfortable, because totally independent, totally free to talk about whatever you want to talk about. You get to get involved in the conversation. And that's the kind of broadcasting you'll find nowhere else. It's truly independent, truly transparent, truly truthful, speaking truth to power every day. And that's what we need in this country. But, of course, without any corporate money, without any political ads, without any government money, free speech. Free speech depends on you to keep us going and to keep this great lineup coming to you every day. So we ask you, if you're already a supporter of free speech, to renew your sponsorship. If you're new to free speech like I am, then join us any way you can. Go to 877-378-8669 and send us whatever support you can. Be as generous as you can. Or you can go to freespeech.org as a little incentive for joining us. Here are a couple of things to consider. If you can give $120 a year, that's just $10 a month, you'll get a signed copy of my book, Toxic Talk, all about right-wing talk radio, who they are, how bad they are, and what the left has to do to get back into talk radio. For $240 a year, that's $20 a month, get a copy of Toxic Talk and a copy of my favorite book that I wrote, How the Republicans Stole Religion. They think they have a monopoly on God, and they don't, because God was a liberal, we know that. And if you can do $360 a year, that's $30 a month. These two books, plus a copy of my latest book, The Obama Hate Machine, all about the Koch brothers and the billions of dollars that they spend to try to defeat anything that Barack Obama stands for. So we need your help. We ask for your help because we want to continue this great broadcasting again. You can join us by phone at 877-378-8669 and send your pledge, or go on freespeech.org. Be as generous as you can. We'll keep coming to you every day, and thank you.
Seen on Free Speech TV and online on TawkrTV. This is the Bill Press Show.
26 minutes after the hour. Here we go. Yep. President Obama already caves on the shutdown and says, all right, we'll open up FEMA. And meanwhile on Capitol Hill, damn members of Congress, they don't give a crap. They'll let the cops put themselves on the line for no money. Yeah. While they get a paycheck for doing nothing. Pisses me off. Peter.
We're on Twitter at BP Show, taking your comments on this issue of FEMA. Three Dog Man says, sorry, Bill, this is the matter of life and death. FEMA should be recalled to come and help. That's one take. Jay Bradshaw says, yeah, but you still should have to help people. It's not like a tea bagger or tea party would say, gimme, 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 gimme over storm relief. Oh, wait, of course they would. Find us on Twitter at BP Show.
I'm just saying, if they say that FEMA, sorry, FEMA is shut down, the public pressure on the Republicans to lift the shutdown will be so great they would have to do it. But once you start caving in, agency by agency by agency, you are playing right into their hands, I believe. Kevin is up in Stratford, Connecticut, using the TuneIn app. Hi, Kevin.
Good morning, Bill.
Hey, how are you?
Bill, I always agree with you except today. I think we can't play politics with FEMA. Let the Republicans play politics, but we need to save lives. If there's a storm coming in, I don't want to be responsible for possible deaths just so we can prove a point. I'm sorry I'm not there.
I hear you. I guess maybe it's tough love, Kevin, but if you keep caving in, you never win this argument.
Well, I think there's other ways to make a point, just like I think there's other ways the Republicans could have made a point on Obamacare. They could have tried to fix the program if they didn't like it.
Well, sure, they could have done it. But let me tell you, Kevin, you know what it's like? Nobody knows the sequester is still on right now. And you know why? Because Obama caved and put the air traffic controllers back to work. Don't make that same mistake again.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Hi, friends. This is Bill Press on Free Speech TV. Can't tell you how proud I am to be part of the new lineup here on Free Speech TV. It's been around for a long time. It's a great, great independent source of good, liberal, progressive broadcasting every day. We start out the day, but then, of course, moving on to such great friends as Amy Goodman and Tom Hartman, David Packman. You won't find good news like and good people like us anywhere else, and we depend on you to keep us on the air, so you can we can visit together every day, find out what's going on, and talk about it. So we need your help to stay on the air, and the number to call to help is 877-378-8669. Of course, you can also go online and contribute at freespeech.org. Help us raise the money necessary to keep this programming coming to your home every day and in 38 million other homes around the nation. Because more than ever in these days with so much corporate media, we need media that is independent, that is transparent, that is truthful. We need Free Speech TV. Now, to maybe encourage you to give as much as you can, we're offering some gifts to you, depending on your level of contribution. First, for those of you who give $120 a year, that's just $10 a month. We'll send you a copy of my book, Toxic Talk. Toxic Talk is all about talk radio, how talk radio is dominated by the right wing, how they got to be so powerful, and what liberals have to do to get some balance on the airwaves across the nation. And I expose some of the real lies told by many of the right-wing talk radio hosts. That's for $120 a year. For $240 a year, that's just $20 a month. We'll give you 2 books, Toxic Talk, as told you about, and this is my favorite book, the favorite book that I've written, How the Republicans Stole Religion. Yeah, what the Gospels really say and how the Republicans distort it, but how they get away with it. And for $360 a year, that's $30 a month, you'll get these 2 books, Toxic Talk, How the Republicans Stole Religion, and The Obama Hate Machine as well, which is my latest book, all about the Koch brothers and all the money that they spend just to try to bring down President Obama and to defeat all of his policies. That's why your help is so important. We are here on Free Speech TV, bringing you the truth every day, the news every day. Help us stay on the air by giving as much as you can. Thank you.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, you know, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Like politics? Then like The Bill Press Show on Facebook. This is The Bill Press Show.
Here we go. What do you say? A beautiful Friday here, the 4th day of October. Whoa! I just realized it's my sister's birthday. Hey,
Happy birthday.
Good thing I
Happy
remembered.
birthday.
Good thing I remembered. I don't think she's watching yet, but
I hope not. Anyway.
Well, at least I remembered.
Well, yeah. I mean,
33 minutes after the hour now. The Bill Press Show brought to you today by the American Federation of Teachers. Yes, the good men and women of the AFT, making a difference every day in the classrooms of America under President Randy Weingarten. You bet. Great leader, great union, great teachers across the country, members of the AFT, and we salute them and thank them for their help. And thank you for watching. We were talking about what I thought was a double whammy yesterday. First of all, the White House announcing that because Hurricane Karen is approaching Florida, they're going to carve out an exception to the shutdown, and they're asking FEMA workers to come back to work, which just proves that I'm telling you it's a big mistake, because once you start doing that, that's exactly what the Republicans said they wanted to do. Okay, let's see. National parks. Too many people don't like that. Okay, we'll reopen those. NIH. Yeah, those kids with cancer. Too many people don't like those, so we'll reopen that. And you do that piecemeal. It was wrong for the Republicans to do it. I think wrong for Obama to do it. And then the idea that here in our nation's capital, we had another shooting yesterday, another incident, and the Capitol Police on the job protecting members of Congress, they're not getting paid during the shutdown, putting their lives on the line. Peter, we have some comments.
So many good
comments. We have some calls
today.
to it, 866-55-PRESS.
A lot of good stuff on Twitter today. At BP Show is where we're tweeting. Tweet to us. We'll read your comments at BP Show. Phil says, a natural disaster is a good opportunity to show people how vital government really is, which is the point.
Well, yes, right, it is. And if the only way to let them know that the government, that help is not there, I believe, is to leave it shut down.
On the other hand, we have some more comments. Cherie Hernandez says, Bill, you can't play with people's lives. And
I'm not, the Republicans are.
Pretty Foot Woman says, FEMA will save lives. Thank God the president cares about the American people. You call it caving. I call it being a responsible president.
Okay.
Find us, tweet to us. Join that conversation on Twitter at BP Show.
Good people can disagree on this. I want to admit that. I want to say that right up front. But I keep coming back to the sequester. The sequester is still bad. There are kids getting thrown out of Head Start. There are kids getting thrown off of food stamps. The sequester is hurting. And the reason nobody knows about it is because there are no lines at the airport. I mean, there are lines, but they're not longer lines at the airport. They're not delays in flights. And that's because they carved that little exception out of the sequester. And you do that bit by bit, agency by agency, and we'll keep this damn government shut down forever. Because otherwise, everything works. You have a storm, FEMA's there. You go to the airport, TSA is there. You open your door, the mail is there, right?
Yeah.
You buy your meat at the market, it's safe because the meat inspectors are there. So what's the government shutdown all about? It's those 800,000 federal employees that nobody cares about, who've got families and they got bills to pay, and they're just left out in the cold. Deborah out in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Hi, Deborah. Good morning.
Good morning. It's
Yes.
about 4:30 in the morning.
I know.
I just wanted to call because the poor people are getting overlooked in this.
Yeah.
The women, infants, and children
Yes.
programs are affected.
Yeah, they're not talking about reopening that, are they, Deborah?
No, they aren't. And what you have to remember is federal employees cannot lobby, and poor people generally do not lobby, and that's part of the strategy. Is they're affecting programs by the most vulnerable and the people who have to remain silent in our country.
You know what? That's a good point. I hadn't thought about that because you may, if you're a regular, Deborah, know that I said that those 800,000 people ought to be out on the federal mall lobbying Congress, but they can't do that.
No, they can't do that. And we're a state that's greatly affected because so much of our economy relies on the federal government.
Of course. Oh, yeah. All those...
We have the national labs here.
Yep.
We have a number of national monuments here. And this week is the Balloon Fiesta, which is the biggest event. And if they had let go of the air traffic controllers, that would really have an impact on this state where I think people would yell and scream very loudly. But you're right, they're being selective, and it's very frustrating to watch what's happening.
Well, it's frustrating.
Congress.
Yeah, it's frustrating out there, and it's frustrating here. Thanks, Deborah. Thanks so much getting up early for us in beautiful Albuquerque, New Mexico. Denise is in Millhall, Pennsylvania on TawkrTV. Hi, Denise.
Hi.
What's going on? What do you think?
Well, I just want to address the fact that there's so much misinformation given by typically Fox News.
Oh, yeah.
Something should be done because there's still people that think this is President Obama's fault.
Mm-hmm.
Fox News should be fined. I know it won't hurt them in their pocket, but they should be broadcast. Fox News fined again for giving false information.
Well, if you watch Fox News, you certainly think it's President Obama's fault. Yeah.
There's people in this area that run around saying how bad President Obama is, and they don't even have the facts straight. With just like the monuments closing, and the Republicans ran in there and acted like it wasn't their fault.
Yeah, yeah. Fortunately, there was, we had one reporter yesterday in studio with us, Evan McMorris Santoro, who said to Michelle Bachmann, wait a minute, aren't you the one that shut the monument down? Of course, she denied it, but
No.
she is. You're right, Denise. All I can say is, you know what? Don't watch Fox News, number one. Second, number two, there's nothing you can do for the people who watch Fox News. Because they're like the people who listen to Rush Limbaugh. They just drink the Kool-Aid. They swallow it. Whatever Fox News says, they believe it. And Fox News just lies. I mean, if you watch Fox News, yesterday, for example, Fox was making a big deal over the fact that President Obama gave a speech in which he said, well, we can hear just a bit of that, Dan. Okay, he talked about the reckless Republicans.
This isn't happening because of some financial crisis. It's happening because of a reckless Republican shutdown in Washington.
And so one of the questions at the briefing yesterday was, oh, well, if we want to resolve this thing, should the president be out there saying bad things about Republicans? Should he be saying, it's his fault because he's created an atmosphere by using that word reckless where now Republicans won't want to talk to him and won't want to compromise. Give me a break. Fox News, that's sort of the word that they're putting out there, right? It's Obama's fault because he uses too many bad words when he talks about the Republicans. Bill is out in Chicago. Hey, Bill, what do you say?
Yeah, listen, as a retired policeman, I obviously believe policemen should always be paid. But
can you believe that these guys, the audacity, right, for them to sit in their offices smug, knowing they're being protected, and yet those cops are not getting paid?
Well, of course. But the whole thing is if we allow this piecemeal handing out of government favors, we're playing right into the Tea Party's agenda.
I think we are. Yeah. So, Bill, is Bill still there? Yeah?
Deborah was absolutely right about who's getting the real shaft here in this country. And being a Chicago-born and bred boy, all politics are hardball. There is no such thing as nice politics. That's how it works.
You know it, Bill. You've got it. Well, by the way, to be effective, that's the thing. To be effective, it has to be hardball. Okay, from Chicago, let's bounce out to Marquette, Michigan. I'm sorry. Hi, Carol. Good morning.
Morning, Bill. Hey, I agree with you completely about this FEMA issue and about the air traffic controllers. We don't, unless we are feeling it in the pocketbook, we can all, I'm so angry about all of these games that are going on, but I'm still getting my paycheck every week. I've got a neighbor who works, who's a federal employee who's on furlough, who doesn't know how they're going to pay their bills.
Yeah.
People don't think about that issue until it hits them, and our neighbors are trying to figure out how to get by day by day.
Now, and either way, by the way, from what I understand, the Capitol Police are on back pay, meaning they don't get paid now, but they're supposed to get paid for the days these days. But the other federal employees are not. But those 800,000, they get they're not getting paid now, and they're not going to get back pay.
Right.
So they're just, they're just going to have to dig the hole deeper and deeper, and it's just simply not fair, and it's a mistake. I'm sorry, Florida. Don't blame me. Blame John Boehner. It's a mistake to bring the FEMA people back. 866-55-PRESS. Susan Page joins us next from USA Today, Washington Bureau Chief.
Seen on Free Speech TV and online on TawkrTV. This is the Bill Press Show.
Hi, friends. This is Bill Press on Free Speech TV. Can't tell you how proud I am to be part of the new lineup here on Free Speech TV. It's been around for a long time. It's a great, great independent source of good, liberal, progressive broadcasting every day. We start out the day, but then, of course, moving on to such great friends as Amy Goodman and Tom Hartman, David Packman. You won't find good news like and good people like us anywhere else, and we depend on you to keep us on the air, so you can we can visit together every day, find out what's going on, and talk about it. So we need your help to stay on the air, and the number to call to help is 877-378-8669. Of course, you can also go online and contribute at freespeech.org. Help us raise the money necessary to keep this programming coming to your home every day and in 38 million other homes around the nation. Because more than ever in these days with so much corporate media, we need media that is independent, that is transparent, that is truthful. We need Free Speech TV. Now, to maybe encourage you to give as much as you can, we're offering some gifts to you, depending on your level of contribution. First, for those of you who give $120 a year, that's just $10 a month. We'll send you a copy of my book, Toxic Talk. Toxic Talk is all about talk radio, how talk radio is dominated by the right wing, how they got to be so powerful, and what liberals have to do to get some balance on the airwaves across the nation. And I expose some of the real lies told by many of the right-wing talk radio hosts. That's for $120 a year. For $240 a year, that's just $20 a month. We'll give you 2 books. Toxic Talk, as told you about. And this is my favorite book, the favorite book that I've written, How the Republicans Stole Religion. Yeah. What the Gospels really say and how the Republicans distort it, but how they get away with it. And for $360 a year, that's $30 a month, you'll get these 2 books, Toxic Talk, How the Republicans Stole Religion, and The Obama Hate Machine as well, which is my latest book, all about the Koch brothers and all the money that they spend just to try to bring down President Obama and to defeat all of his policies. That's why your help is so important. We are here on Free Speech TV, bringing you the truth every day, the news every day. Help us stay on the air by giving as much as you can. Thank you.
Follow us on Twitter at BP Show. This is the Bill Press Show.
Hey, here we go. 13 minutes now before the top of the hour. By the way, we normally on this first Friday of the month would bring you the jobs report for the preceding month. We will not do so today because there will be no jobs report released today. That is one a little victim of the government shutdown. But, of course, they can require Capitol Police to work without pay, and they can bring FEMA workers back, but they can't put out a job report. Also, might note that the latest poll showed, no, here it is, the Dow yesterday, and the market was really performing very well, was up to about 15,500. Yesterday, it tumbled back below 15,000. Not the end of the world, but that's just the direction you watch. It's going to continue to go in until we get to the debt ceiling, and then it'll just crash. Susan Page, Washington Bureau Chief for USA Today. Susan, help. How do we get out of this mess?
Well, did you think, though, there was a small glimmer of hope yesterday when the news came from the Hill that Speaker Boehner is telling his troops that they will pass a debt ceiling. They will lift the debt ceiling, that he won't let the nation default.
Of course, that's a headline in the New York Times and all over this morning. I just don't know whether to believe it or not. But because if he'll do that on October 17, why won't he do it today?
Well, because, I think possibly politics is playing a role.
Oh, do you think?
That he can, keep himself from getting into true hot water with his troops for at least some period of time standing firm on this government shutdown. But I think he's signaling the establishment, the Wall Street types, the rest of us, that he understands that the debt ceiling is a more serious business and just can't be dealt with in that same way.
Now, Huffington Post is reporting this morning, Susan, that 72% of Americans disapprove of shutting down the government over the Affordable Care Act. This is a CBS News poll released yesterday. That includes 76% of independents and 49% of Republicans. So when Boehner and Cantor get up there and say, we're just responding to the American people, how can they say that in light of a poll like this?
Well, they're responding to the American people who live in their district and vote for them. Yeah. That's why.
You're right, yeah. Who vote in those 20 or 30 Tea Party districts, right?
Right. Is it amazing to you, though, that half of Republicans don't disapprove of the idea of shutting down the government because of Obamacare?
No, not after the messaging that they've heard.
Yeah,
I think, but they're not just there to serve Republicans. Shutting down the government I think you're right, by the way. Shutting down the government, though, just to satisfy that extreme slice of the electorate. I don't know.
What amazes me? So the government shut down. We're going in, looks like we're finished the week with the government shut down. No true sense of urgency about getting it open again. I mean, do you know frantic, round-the-clock negotiations by anybody?
The president canceled his trip to Asia.
Yes.
So that he's here on the scene, because certainly the optics of that would have, as the overused word today, but the optics of that would have looked bad. But other than that, what's been different, right? What's different, right?
Well, different, I guess, if you work for the federal government and
yes.
you're not going to work and getting paid, or if you're a cancer patient trying to get into a clinical trial at NIH.
But for most people,
for most Americans, not so much.
No, yeah. which and until that pressure builds up, I think this thing just could drag on and drag on. Now, Susan, you had an interesting interview this week I've got to ask you about, just getting away from the shutdown, because once in a while we have to get back to our sanity. But how'd you end up talking to Ann Romney?
Well, Ann Romney has a new book out. It's a cookbook, and I thought she would be interesting to interview.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, she was interesting to interview.
Did you go out to La Jolla?
Nope, she came here. I mean, she was in town. She didn't come here just to talk to me. And I asked her, do you think your husband will ever run for office again? Thinking this was a throwaway question, and she would say no. And she said, I don't know. And I said, you don't know? Really? You think he might? And she said, it would take an extraordinary situation. So apparently not completely out of the question that Mitt Romney would think about running again.
Yeah. I think an extraordinary situation would be that everybody in the world forgets about his run for president last time. That might be the only way that he
I also think the extraordinary situation would be that the Republicans would ever nominate him again.
Yeah. Well, could be.
And what about all those 5 sons that they've got?
She made it pretty clear that her son Josh, who lives in Salt Lake City, he's a real estate developer, that he does plan to get involved in politics. She said she's urged him to wait until his kids are a little older, but it was apparent that he does plan to jump in. There was some speculation that he would run for Congress last time around, but it sounded like he did plan to get into the family business.
I don't think there's any doubt that we can see more. I wouldn't be surprised if more than one of those sons gets involved in politics. They were so involved in the campaign. and they're young and they're attractive and they've got politics in their blood, right?
Yeah. And she also defended Fluff. Do you know what Fluff is?
Yeah. Well, David Plouffe?
Fluff.
Oh, Fluff.
No, it's this marshmallow concoction that I'd never heard of that apparently the Romneys love. And
Marshmallow Fluff?
Marshmallow Fluff.
Oh, I love it. Remember, Bill, you'd never heard of it. We brought in the Marshmallow Fluff and made you a peanut butter fluff sandwich. A fluffernutter.
That's what she was defending.
A fluffernutter.
It's in the cookbook. It says to take 2 slices of soft white bread, spread peanut butter, spread fluff, and eat.
That's a pretty easy recipe for a fluffernutter. But Marshmallow Fluff is the truth. That's some good stuff.
Well, Susan, there's something about the Romney campaign and Marshmallow Fluff that rings true with me. I'm not sure about that. You don't have to go there. I just went there. Oh, Susan, have a great weekend,
hey,
shut
Bill,
down or not, right? Okay, we'll talk to you next week. Thanks,
hey,
Susan.
Thanks, Bill.
Susan Page, USA Today, Washington Bureau Chief.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Hi, friends. This is Bill Press on Free Speech TV. Can't tell you how proud I am to be part of the new lineup here on Free Speech TV. It's been around for a long time. It's a great, great independent source of good, liberal, progressive broadcasting every day. We start out the day, but then, of course, moving on to such great friends as Amy Goodman and Tom Hartman, David Pakman. You won't find good news and good people like us anywhere else, and we depend on you to keep us on the air, so we can visit together every day, find out what's going on, and talk about it. So we need your help to stay on the air, and the number to call to help is 877-378-8669. Of course, you can also go online and contribute at freespeech.org. Help us raise the money necessary to keep this programming coming to your home every day and in 38 million other homes around the nation. Because more than ever in these days with so much corporate media, we need media that is independent, that is transparent, that is truthful. We need Free Speech TV. Now, to maybe encourage you to give as much as you can, we're offering some gifts to you, depending on your level of contribution. First, for those of you who give $120 a year, that's just $10 a month. We'll send you a copy of my book, Toxic Talk. Toxic Talk is all about talk radio, how talk radio is dominated by the right wing, how they got to be so powerful, and what liberals have to do to get some balance on the airwaves across the nation. And I expose some of the real lies told by many of the right-wing talk radio hosts. That's for $120 a year. For $240 a year, that's just $20 a month. We'll give you 2 books. Toxic Talk, as told you about. And this is my favorite book, the favorite book that I've written, How the Republicans Stole Religion. Yeah, what the Gospels really say and how the Republicans distort it, but how they get away with it. And for $360 a year, that's $30 a month, you'll get these 2 books, Toxic Talk, How the Republicans Stole Religion, and The Obama Hate Machine as well, which is my latest book, all about the Koch brothers and all the money that they spent just to try to bring down President Obama and to defeat all of his policies. That's why your help is so important. We are here on Free Speech TV, bringing you the truth every day, the news every day. Help us stay on the air by giving as much as you can. Thank you.
This is the Bill Press Show.
All right, 3 minutes before the top of the hour, Tom Perriello used to be a member of Congress from Vermont, from Virginia, and Jim McDermott, who is a member of Congress from Washington, in the next hour. Melvin's in Eddy, Texas. Hey, Melvin, what's up? Yes, Melvin. All right.
Yes.
All right, Melvin, missed your chance. Sorry you weren't there.
By the way, PSA, when we talk about the Apple iPhone a lot, they've got the 5C, which is the color version that's out now. If you haven't gotten one yet, Best Buy is going to be offering it for half price this weekend. It's normally sold for $100. You can get it for $50. Not a bad deal, right?
A phone?
Yeah, the new iPhone 5C.
iPhone 5C?
The brand new one.
No, for $50 at Best Buy?
Yes, indeed.
What's the deal? What's the catch?
I mean, you have to sign up for a new plan and all that garbage, but it's $50.
Well, I don't know. Maybe.
This is the Bill Press Show.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Okay, friends and neighbors, we'll get back to this morning's programming in just a second here, but first a little word with you about Free Speech TV. Well, they did it, they did it. Yep, damn Republicans shut down the government, and you know what? They shut down the government because they ran out of money. Well, we're going to have to shut down free speech if we run out of money. No, we're not going to shut it down, but we do need your help to keep going here with the great programming on Free Speech TV. I'm the new kid on the block, but Tom Hartman, Amy Goodman, Democracy Now!, David Pakman been here a long time, and the kind of programming that you get on Free Speech TV. I ran into someone yesterday who was so excited. He said, Free Speech, I love it because they broadcast the Netroots Conference every year. He said, all kinds of good stuff on free speech. But, without any corporate money, that's how we can be so independent. Without any government money, without any political campaign ads running on Free Speech TV, it's all up to you, our viewers across this great land of ours, to keep us going. So I ask you to go to our the toll-free number 877-378-8669 and make your pledge, or go to the website freespeech.org. And if you're already a supporter of Free Speech TV, we thank you and ask you to renew your sponsorship at this time. And if not, if you're new to free speech like I am, then join up and keep us going, keep us on the air. If you can help us with $120 a year, that's just $10 a month. Send you a copy of my book, Toxic Talk, about the right-wing radio world and all the crazies who are on there, and also about the good lefties who are on talk radio, like me and Tom Hartman and Stephanie Miller and Ed Schultz, and how we can, what liberals have to do to really level the playing field. If you can help us with $240 a year, which is just $20 a month for all this good programming, a copy of Toxic Talk, and a copy of How the Republicans Stole Religion, which refutes the Republicans' attempt to get a monopoly on faith and to say they're the one faith party and the Democrats are not. And how about it? For $360 a year, that's just $30 a month, Toxic Talk, How the Republicans Stole Religion, and the latest book, my latest book, The Obama Hate Machine, about the Koch brothers, the evil Koch brothers and their big machine, which is trying to pollute American politics. So that's what we've got to offer to you for $120, for $240, for $360 a year. Help us out here at Free Speech TV because we're proud to be so independent, just interested in telling the truth every day with no corporate influence at all. We can only do that with your help right here on Free Speech TV. The number again, 877-378-8669. Or you can go to freespeech.org. Back to the news.
a bit frizzy today. Oh, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork. Loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look. Your crush is looking at you. Or you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach
likes
your
you.
kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we have pep talkers standing by to get you motivated for your GED diploma. Text the name Terry to 69222 for a sympathetic pep talk.
You show people what you really are.
Or for a gentle pep talk, text the name Deborah.
You know you're going to make people very proud of you.
And if that's not enough, text the name Danny for an extreme pep talk.
Prove everyone wrong. Show them you're the boss.
Get your GED pep talk and find free GED classes. Text the name of the person you want a pep talk from to 69222.
Broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
All right, here we go. And yesterday, from shutdown to lockdown, all of a sudden, here in the nation's capital. Man, this is going to be a dangerous place to live and work, folks. Give me to some. I want to get out of town. I want to get out of here. I want to get to someplace safe, like maybe Detroit or Chicago. Not Washington, D.C. Good morning. It is the Bill Press Show. Good to see you this morning on a Friday, October 4. And we are coming to you live from our nation's capital, just 6 or 7 blocks from where the madness went down yesterday, with this woman slamming into a gate at the White House and then taking off and with police in pursuit. I still don't know how she made it, but up Constitution Avenue all the way to the U.S. Capitol, where after a showdown with Capitol Police, she was shot and killed. 34-year-old troubled woman indeed from Connecticut with her year-old baby in the car with her. What a harrowing experience for everybody in the neighborhood. I was just leaving the White House when they locked down the White House, and the Secret Service really responding to that energetically, shall we say, for all of us who happen to be in the scene. Good to see you today, and we've got lots to talk about. Yes, that lockdown, but also the latest on the shutdown. And John Boehner, surprising everybody by assuring his fellow Republicans, has been reported that he will not allow the government to default on its credit obligations on October 17 or before. What's that all mean? Well, we'll find out with our guest today. Good to see you, and don't forget, you can join the conversation as so many of you do, because so many of you want to talk about this shutdown. The phone number is 866-55-PRESS. Our Twitter, join us on Twitter, the Twitter handle @BP Show, and your comments on Facebook at facebook.com/Bill Press Show. Team Press, engaged, not shut down.
Assemble!
Right, ready to go.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey now.
Peter Ogburn and Dan Henning and Alicia Cruz on the phones, and Cyprian Bolding, as always, on the video cam. You know, yesterday I was telling somebody a story about something that happened to me on television, and she asked me, so was the mic hot? And I said, no, don't you know? The mic is always hot.
On.
Well, Mitch McConnell apparently and Rand Paul didn't know that. They were caught on a hot mic at the Capitol yesterday. Mitch McConnell is waiting. He's all hooked up with WPSD down in Kentucky to do an interview when Rand Paul spots him. Rand Paul had just done an interview with CNN, so he comes over and they're gossiping. Not gossiping, they're sort of strategizing about whether or not they can win this shutdown.
Do you have a second?
I'm all wired up here.
I just did CNN, and I just go over and over again. We're willing to compromise. We're willing to negotiate. I don't think they poll tested. We won't negotiate. I think it's awful for them to say that over and over again.
Yeah, I do too. And I just came back from the 2-hour meeting with them, and that was basically the same view privately as it was publicly.
I think if we keep saying we wanted to defund it, we fought for that, but now we're willing to compromise on this, I think they can. I mean, we're going to win. I think. Well, I know we don't want to be here, but we're going to win this, I think.
I love that. You catch us at what Rand Paul is saying. Look, you and I don't want to be here. We don't want this shutdown. But, you know, if the White House keeps saying they won't negotiate, we're going to win this thing. We're going to win this thing. Well, how cynical.
Can I just throw this out there?
Yes.
I smell a rat. Because McConnell tells him I'm wired up. And then Rand Paul sees this opportunity to go ahead and spell this out, which he thinks can win. I think he knew exactly what he was doing.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, when you're wired up, I mean, they know that this is going out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So Tom Perriello, former congressman from Virginia, now with the Center for American Progress, joined us here at the top of the hour. And then in studio, Congressman Jim McDermott from the great state of Washington coming up right after the half hour. But first,
this is the Full Court Press.
Some other headlines making news on this Friday as we head into the weekend in sports. 2 lopsided scores in playoff baseball last night. One a bigger drubbing than the other. Los Angeles Dodgers beating the Atlanta Braves in Game 1 of their NL Division Series 6-1 thanks to a 2-run homer by Adrian Gonzalez and 7 innings of pitching with 12 strikeouts by Clayton Kershaw. But in St. Louis, the Cardinals trounced the Pittsburgh Pirates 9-1 in their Game 1, showing they were ready for their 3rd consecutive trip to the postseason. Carlos Beltran putting out a 3-run home run. Game 2 for both of those matchups is today, and the ALDS starts this afternoon with Boston hosting Tampa Bay and Detroit playing Oakland tonight.
A lot of good baseball.
Yeah, I love this. When it gets exciting.
It is.
Tom Hanks is such a big fan of President Obama's that he would vote for him again if he could. The actor was in D.C. this week for the premiere of his new movie, Captain Phillips, and told The Hill he's voting for Barack Obama in 2016, except he can't because of a little thing called term limits. He also talked about the shutdown, saying it's unfortunate politicians can't get together to do the right things and steer the country in the right direction.
You know, celebrities have more influence than lawmakers. I mean, he could just say, let's have Barack Obama be president again for another term. If anybody could do it, it could be Tom Hanks.
Or he could run.
He could run. I don't think he has interest in that. And it's a case that is bigger than just saying the dog ate my homework. A Montana man is thanking the U.S. Treasury for reimbursing him after his dog ate 5 $100 bills. ABC News reports...
Why would the government reimburse him?
It was a 10-month process, but Wayne Klinkle of Montana was able to retrieve...
Come back. Why do we have any obligation... We're the government. Why do we have any obligation to reimburse this guy?
He was able to retrieve enough fragments.
I want an answer,
If you let me finish the story, maybe there's an answer coming.
for answers out of this? This is just too weird.
Go ahead.
Okay, he was able to retrieve enough fragments from his golden retriever's business over time that he sent the dirty, destroyed money to the Bureau of Engraving and Printing's Mutilated Currency Division.
Whoa,
apparently there is one.
it exists?
Yep. Several months later, they sent him a $500 check, which he deposited just before the government shut down this week to ensure that he would get his money. If your money is mutilated, here's the answer. As long as you can produce 51% of that bill.
Stop it.
And then they do an investigation with a mutilated currency expert, and they look at it, and if there's 51% of the bill there and they know it's actual real, they will then destroy that and give you your money back.
Well, I'll tell you, the next time I go to an ATM, I don't want one of those dog poop bills coming
They don't.
out.
They're going to destroy that.
Oh,
and they probably put it
What
in
would happen
a...
if I rip this and not in half, but in like
incinerator.
51% and then send it back in?
So you send them the 51% and they
Mutilated
give you...
currency?
Yes. Mutilated currency. There's a division. Bureau of Engraving and Printing. There's your answer. Thank you.
And under the mutilated currency, they've got the dog poop division. They've got the...
the kid ripping it up division. We've had that happen before.
All right. Well, you learn something new every day on the Bill Press Show, damn it. I'll tell you, I never knew that before. And you know, Tom Perriello is one of the smartest people I know. He is head of the Action Fund at the Center for American Progress and a former member of Congress from Virginia. I bet he never knew that about the mutilated currency. Did you, Tom? Let's be honest.
I was really curious to see your segue there from dog crap to my introduction.
Hi, Tom. Good morning.
All I could say is it could have been worse.
But I never knew they had this whole division of the Department of Treasury. Well, we got more important problems to talk about, of course. Tom, do you see a way out of this shutdown?
You know, there is a simple way, which is that John Boehner puts a bill on the floor and gets a bipartisan vote to get this thing over with. It could be done in 5 minutes. And it's hard to see another way out, given that, frankly, the Democrats have already given 100% to the Republicans on the budget, on what is supposed to be a budget document. So, you know, that really seems like the way out of this, is just to actually put the bill there and get a vote. You have a growing number of Republicans who would support it and get this thing done.
Why won't John Boehner do that?
You know, the assumption, the conventional wisdom is that he will lose his speakership, or that he fears he will lose his speakership. I'm not sure that's a correct read, though I'll admit he has a slightly closer beat on the Republican caucus than I do. But the reality is I'm not sure anyone wants his job. If you remember, during the fiscal cliff showdown, there was a question of whether or not he might lose his speakership, and Paul Ryan didn't want it, and Eric Cantor prefers to be pulling the strings one step back. And so, you know, I think, not to mention, I think ultimately many even of the Republicans that are on that list realize they're walking off a cliff and wouldn't mind someone saving the day. So, you know, I think that's a part of it. I think at this point, as one of them articulately said yesterday, they just kind of need something because they're embarrassed. Which isn't exactly the best argument in the world or the easiest one to negotiate with. But you know, these are the things that need to happen. As you know, not only do Democrats not like the sequester number, which is what the CR covers right now, but even Republicans agree it's bad policy. But we nonetheless agreed to $988 billion on the CR instead of 1056, which is what a fully functioning government would look like. So we didn't give them half of the distance between our number and their number. We went 100% to their number, and they still didn't seem to think that was enough. So here we are. So I think, you know, Boehner's situation is one in which he's going to have to decide at some point to do that, and I think, frankly, it's not just the interest of the party. I think it's or the interest of the country. I think it's in the interest of the Republican Party.
Sure. Tom Perriello is our guest, the Action Fund president for the Center for American Progress. Of course, AmericanProgress.org is where you follow all of his good work and his colleagues at the Center for American Progress. So, Tom, this morning, the headlines are that now Boehner has apparently, several Republicans have reported that he has told them privately, don't worry. So people like Peter King, the moderate Republicans who are afraid this is just going to take the whole party and the country over a cliff, if we get to the debt ceiling crisis. John Boehner has assured them privately, don't worry, I will not let the United States default on its obligations. Now, what is that all about? And I guess the second follow-up question is, if he's not going to let us default if he's going to fix it on October 17, then why doesn't he do it now? You know what I mean? Why wait until October 17?
I agree. I think it's a great expense to the country. As you know, we have managed our way to economic recovery, but it hasn't been robust. And this is not the sort of thing to mess with. And essentially, I think what he's saying is, A, we have to create enough pain in the American people that I can go to the extreme wing of my party and tell them this needs to end. And B, that they're going to keep fronting like they're going to get Obamacare because the president won't want to default on the debt, and then at the last second we'll pass a clean CR and a clean debt ceiling, which does so many things wrong. It's terrible for the economy. It's terrible for how you govern. I think one of the things you're seeing right now is that Wall Street and others are not that freaked out about this because they think this kind of crazy theatrics is what Washington's about, and so we continue to encourage cynicism. In the meantime, things happen, including the fact that I was going to pull over at Gravelly Point to talk to you while driving, and of course the park is shut down. So I'm now on the side of the road. So, these things are the small things, but in a much more serious way. You have kids who aren't going to Head Start. You have, if you're a furloughed worker, people sort of joke about these quote-unquote kids in D.C. who are able to go hang out at happy hours all day. But there are a lot of people with families for whom losing a check or delaying a check is an enormous deal in the meantime. So
now I just got to jump in because we're running short of time, and I have to ask you, you're sitting right there, Gravelly Point. Those of us locally, we know where it is, but it's in Virginia. It's across the river. Big governor's race in Virginia. Nobody knows Virginia politics better than you. How's it looking for Terry McAuliffe?
It's looking very good for Terry McAuliffe. He's run a great campaign, and Cuccinelli has run a crazy campaign. I mean, I think if Republicans want to see where this strategy is getting them electorally, look no further than Virginia in a race that, frankly, should have been a slam dunk for the Republicans because the governor's race has always gone the opposite of the White House for the last 50 years in Virginia. And he has not wanted to back off the Tea Party position. McAuliffe has done a great job of really not just getting Democrats excited, but winning over a lot of business leaders who finally think the Republicans have gone too far, particularly on not supporting transportation, not supporting education. I think that bodes well for the Democrats. But as you know, there's only one poll that matters. That's the one on Election Day. So we got 30 days left to see how that goes. Yeah, exactly. Now, if Republicans want to know how well this extremist Tea Party strategy is going, look at Virginia. Again, we got 30 days to go, but I think we know what it's going to show. Tom Perriello, my good friend, thank you so much for joining us, Tom. Thank you, sir. All
right, and his great work at the Center for American Progress, AmericanProgress.org.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Hey, good morning, everybody. What do you say? This is Bill Press here. We'll be back to today's broadcast with all of our great guests in just a moment here. But first, just a word about Free Speech TV. I started my nationally syndicated radio show in 2005, almost 8 years ago now. And I've also done, think about it, this is my fifth national television show on CNN. I was co-host of Crossfire. I was co-host of The Spin Room. On MSNBC, I was co-host of Buchanan and Press for several years. On Current TV, did a show called Full Court Press, and now the Bill Press Show on Free Speech TV. And I've got to tell you, in all that time, with all those different networks, all those different shows, I never felt as at home and as comfortable and as good about what I'm doing as I do right now on Free Speech TV. I'm so glad to be part of this great network that brings you people like Tom Hartman and Amy Goodman and David Pakman. So proud to join that lineup. But, and this is the kind of media, the reason I feel so comfortable, because totally independent, totally free to talk about whatever you want to talk about. You get to get involved in the conversation. And that's the kind of broadcasting you'll find nowhere else. It's truly independent, truly transparent, truly truthful, speaking truth to power every day. And that's what we need in this country. But, of course, without any corporate money, without any political ads, without any government money, free speech. Free speech depends on you to keep us going and to keep this great lineup coming to you every day. So we ask you, if you're already a supporter of free speech, to renew your sponsorship. If you're new to free speech like I am, then join us any way you can. Go to 877-378-8669 and send us whatever support you can. Be as generous as you can. Or you can go to freespeech.org. As a little incentive for joining us, here are a couple of things to consider. If you can give $120 a year, that's just $10 a month, you'll get a signed copy of my book, Toxic Talk, all about right-wing talk radio, who they are, how bad they are, and what the left has to do to get back into talk radio. For $240 a year, that's $20 a month, get a copy of Toxic Talk and a copy of my favorite book that I wrote, How the Republicans Stole Religion. They think they have a monopoly on God, and they don't, because God was a liberal, we know that. And if you can do $360 a year, that's $30 a month. These two books, plus a copy of my latest book, The Obama Hate Machine, all about the Koch brothers and the billions of dollars that they spend to try to defeat anything that Barack Obama stands for. So we need your help. We ask for your help because we want to continue this great broadcasting again. You can join us by phone at 877-378-8669 and send your pledge, or go on freespeech.org. Be as generous as you can. We'll keep coming to you every day, and thank you.
This is the Bill Press Show.
All right, 25 minutes after the hour. Here we go. The Bill Press Show. You may remember yesterday we talked with, yesterday or the day before? I'm losing track. Talked with Harry Reid.
Well, it was, we actually interviewed him on Wednesday afternoon. We played it back yesterday.
Right. So yesterday on the show, yesterday's show, we played our interview with Harry Reid, Majority Leader Harry Reid, which made a little news because the leader had said to Dana Bash from CNN, when she asked him if they had a chance to help a kid get some cancer treatment at NIH, wouldn't they lift the funding for NIH as part of the government shutdown? And the leader sort of offhandedly said, why would I want to do that? We asked him to explain that, remember, and the leader said, no, look, obviously I care about those kids and other kids around the country, and a lot of other people are being hurt by the sequester, but my point is that we can't do the sequester, lift the government shutdown the way the Republicans want to, piece by piece by piece by piece by piece. We should lift the whole thing. At any rate, Rush Limbaugh heard about that yesterday, and after making a snide comment about me, which he couldn't resist, he talked a lot about our interview. Here he is.
So then we get to the next soundbite where he's asked somebody in the press said that Bill Press released a clip. He interviewed, didn't she, Harry? And he released a clip of it because nobody listens. So they had to release a transcript. And the question was, there's been some flack in the last few hours over a comment you made on CNN, didn't you? You were asked on CNN if you could help one child who has cancer, why wouldn't you do it? And your response was, why would we want to do that?
Little kids who are not going to have clinical trials. Of course
Harry
I care about that.
me.
16 of my own grandchildren, 5 children. What I told Dana Bash, who is a fine reporter, is that We care about all these things. We care about our state parks. We care about our veterans. But we can't fall into the trap. And here is the trap of the Cruz-led Republicans, and that is this. Listen, we'll cherry pick. We'll open this today and this tomorrow and this tomorrow. And finally, at the end, everything will be open except the money to finish Obamacare.
Let me just say right there, okay? I said to Rush Limbaugh's face one time, and I say it again. Rush, every time you talk about me, I consider it a badge of honor.
There you go.
And the idea that he in fact criticizes me of releasing a transcript. He releases transcripts from his show every single freaking day.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Hi, friends. This is Bill Press on Free Speech TV. Can't tell you how proud I am to be part of the new lineup here on Free Speech TV. It's been around for a long time. It's a great, great independent source of good, liberal, progressive broadcasting every day. We start out the day, but then, of course, moving on to such great friends as Amy Goodman and Tom Hartman, David Packman. You won't find good news like and good people like us anywhere else, and we depend on you to keep us on the air, so you can we can visit together every day, find out what's going on, and talk about it. So we need your help to stay on the air, and the number to call to help is 877-378-8669. Of course, you can also go online and contribute at freespeech.org. Help us raise the money necessary to keep this programming coming to your home every day and in 38 million other homes around the nation. Because more than ever in these days with so much corporate media, we need media that is independent, that is transparent, that is truthful. We need Free Speech TV. Now, to maybe encourage you to give as much as you can, we're offering some gifts to you, depending on your level of contribution. First, for those of you who give $120 a year, that's just $10 a month. We'll send you a copy of my book, Toxic Talk. Toxic Talk is all about talk radio, how talk radio is dominated by the right wing, how they got to be so powerful, and what liberals have to do to get some balance on the airwaves across the nation. And I expose some of the real lies told by many of the right-wing talk radio hosts. That's for $120 a year. For $240 a year, that's just $20 a month. We'll give you 2 books. Toxic Talk, as told you about. And this is my favorite book, the favorite book that I've written, How the Republicans Stole Religion. Yeah. What the Gospels really say and how the Republicans distort it, but how they get away with it. And for $360 a year, that's $30 a month, you'll get these 2 books, Toxic Talk, How the Republicans Stole Religion, and The Obama Hate Machine as well, which is my latest book, all about the Koch brothers and all the money that they spend just to try to bring down President Obama and to defeat all of his policies. That's why your help is so important. We are here on Free Speech TV, bringing you the truth every day, the news every day. Help us stay on the air by giving as much as you can. Thank you.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Seen on Free Speech TV and online on TawkrTV. This is the Bill Press Show.
Here we go, 33 minutes after the hour, if you will. It is the Bill Press Show. We are coming to you live coast to coast, all the way from Seattle to Washington, D.C. Brought to you today by the United Steelworkers and their colorful, shall we say, outspoken and very effective, dynamic international president, Leo Gerard. The United Steelworkers, North America's largest industrial union, representing 1.2 million active and retired members. You can find out more about their good work at usw.org. And if you can't all reach out to Seattle, Seattle reaches out to us today in the person of Congressman Jim McDermott here in the studio with us. Hey, Congressman, good to see you.
It's good to see you, Bill.
Hey, thanks for coming in today. I've got to ask you, I want to get your take on the shutdown and how the hell we get out of it. Let's talk first about the lockdown yesterday. You were in the Capitol when this all came down?
Yeah, it was obviously stunning to all of us. John Lewis, who was outside and heard the shots, came up and we had a long conversation. He said all of a sudden he heard gunshots all over the place, and the police were running and all down to toward a car, and he was told to get inside the building. And none of us, no one, of course, knew anything. It was reminiscent of the day 9/11, when police were running through the hallways saying, "Run for your lives." You didn't know what to do. That's the way they said to everybody, get in a room that's in the center of your office where you cannot be affected by gunshots, and that was what the lockdown was. So our office was filled with lobbyists and everybody
really? Yeah.
were in the hallway. They came into our office and sat down, and
how long did that last?
Probably an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Until the situation clarified enough for the police to feel comfortable to let people out and start wandering around.
I was at the other end of Pennsylvania Avenue, just walking out of the White House when they locked down the White House, and the same thing. You know, just Secret Service agents were making sure everybody was either inside or way away from the complex, and you didn't know what was going on other than something was going on.
One of the fascinating things was the Twitter yesterday of a picture of a SWAT team member on a bridge with a gun pointed toward God knows where, and a staff person is walking along doing his BlackBerry.
Right behind this guy with a giant gun.
Yeah.
No.
Come on, guys. Pay attention.
Yeah.
So it was a very chaotic situation. I don't mean to laugh at it. But it's chaotic because no one knows what to do, and this guy obviously hadn't gotten the word.
Yeah, right. What bothers a lot of people, me included, is the fact that these Capitol Police putting themselves on the line yesterday, and with a shutdown, not getting paid. I mean, wouldn't that be enough, you would think, for some of these Republicans to stand up and say today, now we realize how bad this is, and we're just going to do the right thing?
I think, Bill, those of us who were here in the shutdown of 95 are very sensitive to the fact that we're asking people to work without any promise that they're going to get paid. These new people who are running this craziness have no understanding of the impact that they're having on people's lives. Now, I know that in 1995, after all was said and done, we gave back pay to people who had worked during that period of shutdown.
But now there's no
guarantee of that.
Right.
And this bunch, you'd say to yourself, I wonder if they're that humane. Gingrich was that humane, but you can't guarantee anything out of this bunch.
The headline today is that John Boehner, here it is, New York Times, John Boehner pledges to avoid default. He says that I'm not going to let the country default on we're going to raise the debt ceiling. I'm not going to let the country default on our faith in Christ. What do you believe that, and what does that mean to you?
Well, as Khrushchev once said, the devil is in the details. He's going to vote for lifting the debt limit.
Yeah, but
at what price? That's the question. What is the price? And I think the Wall Street people have come to his office and said to him, "Hey, look, are you crazy? You cannot allow us not to pay our debts. So you have to vote an increase in the debt limit. Now, what they attach to it, or how they maneuver it, or whatever they try to get with it, will be tough. And I think the president is going to have to be as tough as he's ever been in the 5 years that he's been president.
Does this, though, give you the sense that now we're into day 4 of the shutdown, that they're going to drag this thing out until October the 17th?
Oh, I've always thought that.
Really?
I did not think we would have a shutdown until about 10 days before we got to the 1st of October. It was about 10 days before the 1st of October. And then it felt like it did in 95, and I could see that nothing was happening, and it wasn't going to happen. And we were gone 21 days in 95. So I looked at the calendar and said, well, the debt ceiling comes up on about the 14th or the 17th or whatever that is. So we're going to be out till the 17th because they've been constructing bringing the end of the year continuing resolution and the debt ceiling together at the same time, believing that that will give them maximum leverage to make the president fold and come to his knees.
So we're in this for another couple of weeks.
Well, we're in for at least another week. I think sometime toward the end of next week, you'll begin to see people saying, hey, this isn't working.
Enough's enough.
And enough is enough. And that, Gingrich had to admit it. At some point, Boehner's going to have to say to him, look, guys, and I've said this before, it could be solved this morning at 9 o'clock.
It could be.
Yes. All Boehner has to do is walk on the floor and say, guys, I gave you your opportunity. I'm going to go talk to Nancy. She'll give me 200 votes. I need 17 votes. Let's get out of here.
In other words, a clean resolution, a clean CR.
Clean CR be gone.
All right. I'm glad you got there because Eric Cantor yesterday, I've got to hear something. Here it is. Eric Cantor told reporters yesterday for The Hill that if they put a clean resolution on the floor, he said it would not pass because Democrats wouldn't vote for it.
Eric Cantor can say anything he wants. He's not limited by truth as any kind of judgment. 200 of us would go immediately to end this.
You've talked about that in the Democratic caucus?
Yes, and Nancy has been working this. She said, if one comes to the floor, I want to see anybody's hand who isn't going to help. Because I think she knows that she's got 99.9%. I can't imagine anybody who'd vote against it, frankly.
And there would be at least 17 Republicans, right?
There's at least 17 adults on that side out of 237 people.
One would hope, right? In fact, I think the count changes, but at least 18 or maybe even 20, I've seen the number 20, have said publicly they would vote for a clean CR just to get it over with.
There's at least that many who've been here long enough to know what this really means to human beings.
All right, I want to get you in trouble now, Congressman.
That's no good lead.
Yeah. Sort of called your shot there, Bill.
I know. You don't have to agree with me, but here's what. I was really upset yesterday at the White House to hear them say, okay, Hurricane Karen is coming down, coming toward Florida. So we are bringing back FEMA furloughed people to help in Florida. And I'm saying to myself, if you want the shutdown, if you want people really to feel the shutdown, keep the FEMA people home.
That's the whole point. We count on government. I've always said the difference between Democrats and Republicans is Democrats look at the government as a car that they're going to use to go somewhere, and Republicans hate the car. And we saw what happens when people who hate the car are driving. That was called Katrina. When Brownie ran out and got in the FEMA and turned the key, nothing happened. Yeah. And that's what happens. And Obama cannot possibly be as irresponsible as George Bush would. He has to have FEMA online. And if he can see it coming and he doesn't deal with it, then you'd have some complaint about him.
Yeah, no, for sure. Now, Congressman, do you remember when we met?
I think it was in California sometime a long time ago, but I don't.
Very good. Yes. It was in Los Angeles. I was doing talk radio in Los Angeles. and you came in the studio to talk about universal health care.
Must have been a long time ago.
I don't know whether you were a member of Congress already at the time. Probably were, but I remember for sure because you've always. I mean, this universal health care has been your baby, your issue. You've been a leader on that for decades. So when we come back, I want to ask you about the other thing that's going on this week. Is the health exchanges opening up on October 1, and how do you think it's going and where we're heading on that? Congressman Jim McDermott from Washington State here in studio with us. He'll be glad to take your calls, your questions, your comments. You can disagree with him or me. 866-55-PRESS.
On your radio, on TV, and online. This is the Bill Press Show.
Hi, friends. This is Bill Press on Free Speech TV. Can't tell you how proud I am to be part of the new lineup here on Free Speech TV. It's been around for a long time. It's a great, great independent source of good, liberal, progressive broadcasting every day. We start out the day, but then, of course, moving on to such great friends as Amy Goodman and Tom Hartman, David Packman. You won't find good news and good people like us anywhere else, and we depend on you to keep us on the air, so we can visit together every day, find out what's going on, and talk about it. So we need your help to stay on the air, and the number to call to help is 877-378-8669. Of course, you can also go online and contribute at freespeech.org. Help us raise the money necessary to keep this programming coming to your home every day and in 38 million other homes around the nation. Because more than ever in these days with so much corporate media, we need media that is independent, that is transparent, that is truthful. We need Free Speech TV. Now, to maybe encourage you to give as much as you can, we're offering some gifts to you, depending on your level of contribution. First, for those of you who give $120 a year, that's just $10 a month. We'll send you a copy of my book, Toxic Talk. Toxic Talk is all about talk radio, how talk radio is dominated by the right wing, how they got to be so powerful, and what liberals have to do to get some balance on the airwaves across the nation. And I expose some of the real lies told by many of the right-wing talk radio hosts. That's for $120 a year. For $240 a year, that's just $20 a month. We'll give you 2 books. Toxic Talk, as I told you about. And this is my favorite book, the favorite book that I've written, How the Republicans Stole Religion. Yeah, what the Gospels really say and how the Republicans distort it, but how they get away with it. And for $360 a year, that's $30 a month, you'll get these 2 books, Toxic Talk, How the Republicans Stole Religion, and The Obama Hate Machine as well, which is my latest book, all about the Koch brothers and all the money that they spent just to try to bring down President Obama and to defeat all of his policies. That's why your help is so important. We are here on Free Speech TV, bringing you the truth every day, the news every day. Help us stay on the air by giving as much as you can. Thank you.
Like politics? Then like The Bill Press Show on Facebook. This is The Bill Press Show.
Here we go, 13 minutes now before the top of the hour. Congressman Jim McDermott in studio with us from Washington State, covering the issues of the day from the shutdown. Want to talk about health care with good congressman. In just a second, Peter, you've got a quick story.
We were just talking about how we had Senator Harry Reid on the show just the other day. Yeah, Rush Limbaugh was calling us out. So Rare.us is a conservative website. Rare.us says, Harry Reid only came on the Bill Press Show because we gave him an open forum because we're so buddy-buddy with him. And, look.
Give me a break. First of all, I'm proud to be buddy-buddy with Harry Reid, right?
Right.
Yeah. But he came on because he wants the world to know what's happening with the as President Obama calls it, the Republican shutdown, and how willing the Senate is. He's made that very clear, Congressman. The Senate they've passed the clean CR. I don't know how many times. They passed a budget 6 months ago, right?
Yes.
The holdup here is not in the Senate.
No, it's what's happened is that the Republicans do not want to resolve anything. Their whole goal was to stop Obama implementing the Affordable Care Act. And they used every mechanism possible. And they've talked about the need for a budget, and they went on and on and on. Then the Senate passed one, and they never would appoint conferees to sit down and begin resolving the differences. They are simply being disingenuous. That's the nicest word I know for what they are doing around the issue of whether or not they're serious about solving the problems.
Did you finish that story, Peter? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, so let me ask you how we were told yesterday at the White House 7 million people went to the website, healthcare.gov, in the first 2 days, which is more people than Southwest Airlines in a month. Does this mean that universal that the bomb it's going to work? What do you think?
Well, we have heard a propaganda campaign for the last 3 years since it was passed that people don't want Obamacare.
Yeah.
Well, people want affordable care, and they're scared about their health security. And the fact that it is now open and they can get online and go and see about it is a great relief to millions of people in this country who worry. They walk around bare, as they say, because they don't have any health insurance. If they get sick or get hit by a car or whatever, they're wiped out for the rest of their life. So the opportunity to get into this is an enormous relief to people. And you're going to see a lot of people. California, Oregon, and Washington are up and running full bore. They expect in Washington we'll have about 60 to 70% of the people who are uninsured will be insured in the next 6 months.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah.
So they have organized it down to the union level and the church level and the health clinic level. Everywhere you go in Washington, there's somebody ready with an application for you to sign up for your health care.
This is because the state has taken the lead.
Yes.
Is that it?
We have our own exchange. California has its own exchange, and Oregon has its own exchange. Kentucky has its own exchange, but some places just simply are standing around. And what's going to happen, Bill, is that people in Texas are going to wake up one morning and say, why can't we have that stuff they have in California?
Yeah.
My sister in Los Angeles tells me she has this and this and this. We don't have that here in Texas. What's this about? So it's going to move across the country in an uneven fashion, but it's going to get across the country.
The Affordable Care Act is here to stay?
Yes, I think so.
Do you think we'll ever see a public plan option as part of it, which might lead to, at least as close as we could get to something you and I have supported for a long time, which is single payer. Right.
Well, it's
Canada,
in the works.
My Canada.
It's in the works. Senator Cantwell and I put into the bill the Washington Basic Health Plan, which was a Washington state plan that had been operating as a public option where you could go in and you could, for a low cost, get health care. And they didn't write the rules and regulations so that it could be implemented this year, but they put out the rule about a week ago so that by the time we get to the 1st of 2014, there will be a public option available to states to implement. Washington State already has one. We'll put one up very quickly. But every other state will have the opportunity.
This is part of the Affordable Care Act.
Yes, and the California legislature, I'm sure, will take it, and Oregon and many states, people will say, well, let's do our own thing rather than this exchange or,
Right.
This is something that I did with Governor Booth Gardner back in 1977. And we put together a plan for Washington State for people under 200% of poverty that they could get affordable health care. And it's there. The model is already there. And so it's going to be implemented.
And that could happen then. That could happen state by state.
That could happen state by state.
And would that be sort of a like Medicare extended sort of?
Well, basically what we did was
would it be private or private? It would not be private insurance. We're talking public.
No, it would be you'd buy it through the private sector. What the state does is they decide the benefits, adequate benefits. Our benefits are as good as what are in the Affordable Care Act, and then they negotiate with insurance companies who will cover the people.
Yeah.
And then people come in, and the state, in some instances, we subsidize to a certain extent, but in many instances, we just gave people a chance to buy it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I didn't realize that was out there.
Yes.
That's
well, it's one of those things. There's a lot of sleepers that people are not yet aware of, and this is one of them.
Yeah. And I guess final question. That's really what the Republicans are afraid of, aren't they? That it's going to succeed.
Absolutely. That's been the whole thing all along. Is Gingrich occasionally told the absolute truth. And he said, if the Democrats pass this, they'll be in charge for the next 50 years. Look what happened when they passed the Social Security Act. Mm-hmm. They were in charge for 60 years.
Yeah.
We have to stop them from implementing it.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's all about. Hey, Congressman, it's great to see you. Thanks for your good work and your leadership on so many issues. Taking time to come in this morning. We'll let you get down the street here and straighten this whole mess out, okay? All right, come in again, anytime.
See you again.
Congressman
Bye-bye.
Jim McDermott from Washington State.
Streaming live video right now at youtube.com/TawkrTV. That's TAWKR-TV. This is The Bill Press Show.
And on this Friday morning, hey, you can't go into the weekend before hour number 3, but of course we're going to lose you on Free Speech TV. Too bad. You can pick us up, however, on the video at TawkrTV. That is youtube.com/Tawker, TAWKR-TV, or one word, TawkrTV. And in the next hour, Robert Schlesinger is going to be here as a friend of Bill from U.S. News and World Report. And then Neda Semnani from the Baffler. We'll talk more shutdown, more FEMA, more news of the day. Stay around.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Oh, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork, loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look. Your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach your
likes
kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we have pep talkers standing by to get you motivated for your GED diploma. Text the name Terry to 69222 for a sympathetic pep talk.
You show people what you really are.
Or for a gentle pep talk, text the name Deborah.
You know you're going to make people very proud of you.
And if that's not enough, text the name Danny for an extreme pep talk.
Prove everyone wrong. Show them you're the boss.
Get your GED pep talk and find free GED classes. Text the name of the person you want a pep talk from to 69222.
streaming live video right now at youtube.com/TawkrTV. That's TAWKR-TV. This is The Bill Press Show.
All right, President Obama just cooling his jets today. He and the Vice President have the daily briefing at 11:15. And Jay Carney, a press briefing at 1 o'clock. Nothing else on the schedule, which always makes me suspicious. They got something going on here. I wouldn't be surprised if he makes some public statement about the fact that we're ending the week and the shutdown is still on. So I would say on that front, stay tuned. The president did completely cancel his planned trip to Asia, which is not good for the country because that Asian economy is so important. Robert Schlesinger from U.S. News and World Report here is a friend of Bill in the next hour, so don't forget to hang around one more hour.
This is the Bill Press Show. Broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is the Bill Press Show.
Yesterday, suddenly in Washington, D.C., it was from shutdown to lockdown. Man, get me out of this town. Right. We've had 2 shootings in Washington, D.C. within a mile of the studio in the last 2 or 3 weeks. Let's go someplace safe, Peter, like Detroit, maybe?
Yeah, right.
Huh?
Or Fallujah.
Syria.
Syria could be more safer.
Yeah, right. Well, there were no chemical weapons used here. Let's say that about Washington.
Yeah.
Here we go. Good morning, everybody. Great to see you today. It is the Bill Press Show. Here we go. Hour number 3 on this Friday morning, October 4. A big happy birthday to my sister Margie. She's watching up in Delaware City, Delaware. So there we go.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. And we are glad to see all of you, birthday or not, today. You can join the conversation anytime at 866-55-PRESS. Give us a holler on Twitter at the BP Show and on Facebook at facebook.com/Bill Press Show. With the team here this morning, Peter Ogburn and Dan Henning.
Hey.
Good morning. On the phones and Cyprian Bolding on the video cam. We welcome Robert Schlesinger, who is the managing editor for opinion at the U.S. News and World Report, since we thrive in opinion here on the Bill Press Show. He joins us in studio this morning. Robert, good to see you.
Good to be here, Bill.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Were you anywhere near the the action yesterday afternoon?
No, happily I was
in Reston or
out in Alexandria working from the home office.
Oh, in
Alexandria, Virginia. So
yeah,
I was happily nowhere near it.
It was pretty hairy around the White House. I was leaving the White House when
is that right?
On the other side of the White House, she had just run into the gate, and so they were just shutting down the entire complex. And when the word goes out to shut down, we've got an attack on the White House. Nobody knew what was going on exactly, who this crazy person was, but when they put out the word to shut down the White House, Secret Service agents suddenly appear from every single direction.
That must be a pretty impressive thing to watch happen. If you can watch it and you're not
only on the premises, but they converge on the White House from anywhere they happen to be, in Washington, all the various branches of the Secret Service. They were really on the job yesterday. And, of course, the good Capitol Police were on the job yesterday as well. It really reflected on the shutdown, because we found out that these police officers protecting the Capitol aren't being paid. And meanwhile, another reflection on the whole shutdown, the Republicans have now decided they're going to make their stand at the World War II Memorial. Yesterday, and every day Republican congressmen go down there because they know the TV cameras are going to be down there, right, to make their point. Yesterday, it was Randy Neugebauer. Is that how you pronounce it?
That's it.
Yeah, Neugebauer from Republican from Texas, who confronts a woman park ranger who is just there doing her job, and here he's trying to get her to apologize for the shutdown.
How do you look at them and say, how do you deny them access? I don't get it. It's difficult. Well, it should be difficult.
It is difficult. I'm sorry, sir.
Park Service should be ashamed of themselves.
I'm not ashamed.
Well, you should be.
No, I'm not ashamed. You're just beating up on her. I mean,
good for her. Good for her for standing up for herself.
Yeah,
too, not
but
being
also
bullied
who
by
shut
some
it down? She
cheap
didn't.
member of
He
Congress.
did.
Yeah,
right. He's the one who shut it down. I mean, he's one of those who shut it down.
That's so aggravating. That's just so aggravating. That's
They're
the whole
just-
point. They just do whatever they want and say whatever they want and think that we're just supposed to take it.
the sanctimonious hypocrisy.
Yes.
and the gall of going and using World War II veterans as political props. It's just outrageous.
Yeah, and again, they want the American people to forget that memorial would be open if it weren't for 20 extremist members, Michelle Bachmann and Randy Neugebauer or whatever, and others of the Republican caucus.
Right. No,
Yeah.
I mean they brought this shutdown on, and then to go and bully some poor civil servant who clearly doesn't want to be doing that, and this wasn't her idea of a good time, and again it shows the kind of disconnect or bipolarity of the Republican messaging, because on the one hand they say.
Yeah.
Obama, sitting in the Oval Office, personally said, "Shut down the memorial," but then they go and they try to browbeat some poor Park Service ranger as if it's her call. I mean, there's no great surprise here, but their message doesn't actually make any sense internally. There's no coherence.
There's another place that doesn't make any sense, and we'll get to that in just a second here with Robert Schlesinger. Here the entire hour as a friend to Bill, we're happy to say. We'll be joined by Neda Semnani from the Baffler. She's web editor for them at the half hour. And Robert, we'll get right into the news of the day. But first,
this
got the big headline.
Full Court Press.
Other headlines making news on this Friday. The Boston man whose boat was at the center of catching the Boston bombing suspect earlier this year has gotten a new boat thanks to generous donations from people all across the U.S. ABC reporting David Henneberry, who found Dzhokhar Tsarnaev in his boat in his backyard and called police, got over $50,000 in donations to buy a new boat after his runabout was destroyed in the police shootout. He is donating any money he received above the cost of his new boat to the Boston One Fund.
Good for him. And good for the people of Boston to help him get a boat.
Pretty awesome.
I mean, that guy just went out for a smoke after he couldn't leave his house for a long time. And then he realized somebody's in his boat.
Despite advertising claims to the contrary, chain restaurants have not gotten any healthier in recent years. A new study published in the Journal of Academy of Nutrition and Diabetes says the overall calorie and sodium counts in the main entrees of the top U.S. chains did not change from 2010 to 2011. The study found a consistent pattern of one step forward, one step back, that yes, restaurants were continuously making healthy changes and advertising those at the same time they were making unhealthy menu changes as well.
In other news, Republicans haven't become any more conciliatory.
Yeah.
Right. What do you expect?
And
if you want to eat healthy, don't eat out.
Well,
or don't eat at the
don't
top
eat
chain.
at the fast. Don't eat at fast food chains.
Yeah,
right.
absolutely.
And you know the line, the dog ate my homework. Well, a Montana man has a bigger case than this. He's thanking the U.S. Treasury for reimbursing him after his dog ate 5 $100 bills that he left out.
Man, I'll tell you, I'd have a dead dog.
ABC reports it was a 10-month process, but
Buy me a new dog. Go ahead, sorry.
Wayne Klinkle of Montana was able to retrieve enough fragments from his golden retriever's business over time that he sent the dirty, destroyed money to the Bureau of Engraving and Printing's Mutilated Currency Division. Several months later, they sent him a $500 check, which he deposited just before the government shut down this week.
Did you realize that the currency, that the Treasury had a mangled currency department?
No, I was going to say my hat off to that guy for figuring out there was a way to actually get his money back.
Yeah,
that's incredible.
Yeah, right.
I mean, who sits there and says, "Okay, my dog ate my $500. I know what to do.
He didn't. He actually.
I have a solution.
He actually had to go to 2 banks. The first bank refused him because he brought the dirty money, literally dirty money, in a plastic bag to the bank teller, and she turned up her nose and said, "Sorry, can't help you." Went to a second bank.
Can you blame her?
And the second bank recommended going to the mutilated currency division.
It does give new meaning to the phrase money laundering.
Oh no.
Oh, that's the line of the
Very
day.
nice. Very nice.
But I will never, for the rest of today, I will not be able to get out of my head the picture of this guy extracting these little pieces of paper out of the dog poop and lining them up and trying to, and maybe taping the. I mean, I don't even.
Well, I love the image of him walking into a bank and saying, "Excuse me, can you do something about this?"
Yeah. All right, boy, you ready to go outside? Let me get your bag and some gloves.
15 minutes after the hour. Somehow, let's put that behind us. Move ahead. Here is the part of the shutdown that I thought. This is where the shutdown collided with reality yesterday. Robert, is just down the street here, 2nd and Constitution, and at the Capitol, where these police officers putting themselves on the line, protecting the building, protecting the members of Congress, not getting paid. No. I mean, after that came out, I just figured Republicans would say, okay, but now we realize how dumb this is, and we're going to reopen the government.
Well, I think
they still won't.
I think the Republicans, there are Republicans who realize how dumb this is, but they're not in charge of their party. And the people who are in charge of the party demonstrably don't care. I mean, they have their agenda and they don't care what the public thinks.
And they have their paycheck.
They don't. Yeah, they'll get paid, and they don't. Their real world considerations are not even secondary but tertiary for the people who are driving the bus right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the hypocrisy involved in that. Bernie Sanders was really very angry about that yesterday and spoke out about it. And again, I would think if there are any decency on their part, which I guess is too much to expect. So, you know where we are. We are now in day 4, and everybody says they're just going to run this thing out until we get to the debt ceiling deadline, October 17. Do you think that's the way it's going to go?
Yeah, because there's no reason for either side to make any concession at this point. And once they got in, once they shut down the government, they owned the shutdown, so there was no reason for them to quickly back out of it.
So what are they getting out of it?
Their fundraising is going well from their base. Their base is whipped up, but in terms of there's the little conservative bubble that they operate in, and there's the real world.
Right.
And they're doing well in their little conservative bubble, and you look at issue after issue after issue, they've demonstrated no or little interest in dealing with the real world anyway.
The CBS poll released yesterday showed that 74% of Americans oppose shutting down the government over the Affordable Care Act.
Yeah, and this is in keeping with poll after poll after poll that was released in the run-up to this. But it's not. We make the mistake of saying, well, 74% of Americans, but they're interested in the subset of Americans that are the people who turn out in Republican primaries.
In their districts.
In their districts, right. And those people, I think polls show that even they're not wild about it, but the real hardcore activists and the media industrial complex is egging them on. And so, on we go.
Well, I know I can't figure this out, but doesn't somebody there, aren't there some grown-ups who have to say, you know what, American politics is about more than 20 Republican congressional districts and winning those 20 congressional Republican. If we ever want to govern again as a party, certainly if we ever want to win the White House again as a party, you got to have a little bigger base than that, right? I mean, aren't they just narrowing their base down to the extreme minimum?
Explicitly. I mean, there's this portion of the party that has, explicitly, methodically tried to hunt down and primary and drive out moderate Republicans, and they want to have the Republican Party be this kind of ideologically uniform party that fits the Tea Party conception of what conservatism should be, and not simply what conservatism should be philosophically, but tonally. It's not enough. You'll get conservatives who are reality-based conservatives who will say, bemoan the fact that your positions now don't matter as much as how you articulate them. So it's not enough to be conservative. You have to be truculently conservative. You have to be angrily conservative. And they seem to think that this is their path back to the majority. But I'm not sure what country they live in, because in a country of over 300 million people, there is no one philosophy that is going to get you a majority. I mean, you and I are progressives, but you and I know that you couldn't have 51 or 60 Bernie Sanderses in the U.S. Senate.
Yeah, right.
Just like you couldn't have 51 or 60 Rand Pauls or Jim DeMintts or Max Baucuses or Mary Landrieu's or Susan Collinses. I mean, we've got a really big country, and it's not, especially on the right, people like to say, well, this is fundamentally a conservative country.
But here's the thing: when I look at the Republican Party, it's not that I expect there still to be Republicans like a Nelson Rockefeller, right, or I don't know, some of those moderate Republicans, Charles Percy, that we always think of,
classic Northeastern,
classic Northeastern, right? But to be around anymore, because their day is come and gone. But even George W. Bush, even Karl Rove, these people are considered today not conservative enough. I mean, we thought that they were extreme right-wing, right?
Right.
I mean, and as several people pointed out, if you really went by his record, Ronald Reagan couldn't win a Republican primary today. So, I mean, how far right can they go?
And even you look at people who are current Republican elected members of Congress, Tom Coburn from Oklahoma, who's about as conservative as you can get,
absolutely,
and not exactly what you describe, generally speaking, as a plays well with others type. I mean, when he left the U.S. House to go to the U.S. Senate. House leadership would say, well, the Senate deserves him, and thank God he's gone. Even he is looked at as some sort of squish who isn't conservative enough, because not that he wants to fund Obamacare, but simply he's not willing to engage in quixotic suicide missions to shut down the government with no end game, with no, here's how we get from A to B to C. Yeah. We're simply going to do A, and C will materialize.
No, he won't give the big French kiss to Ted Cruz. Right. I mean, so therefore he's an apostate.
Just an awful, awful, awful image.
Boy, I don't know how. I'm sorry I ever came up with that one. All right, here we go. It's the Bill Press Show.
This is the Bill Press Show. Get social with Bill Press. Like us at facebook.com/Bill Press Show. This is the Bill Press Show.
26 minutes after the hour, the Bill Press Show, Friday morning, October 4. Robert Schlesinger from U.S. News and World Report here in studio with us as a friend of Bill. We'll be joined by Neda Semnani from the Baffler in the next segment. Peter?
Quick follow-up to that clip that we played at the top of the hour with the Congressman Neda that was sort of verbally attacking this park ranger.
Yeah.
Yesterday, Vice President Joe Biden actually called that park ranger up, told her, said, "I'm proud of you for standing up," and so he reached out and said hello. So it wasn't all bad for her. At least you got a call from the vice president.
Good for him.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. And again, as you said, Robert, earlier, good for her.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. She was more polite than I would have been. I just said, hey, you're breaking the law. Get your fat ass off this property.
Excuse me, Congressman. You're on closed federal property. You're going to have to leave.
Yeah.
Maybe if you want to go back down to down to Congress and vote us back open, you can come talk to me.
So remember, just about a minute here, Robert, we forget that this shutdown is supposedly all about Obamacare, but 7 million people in the first 2 days went to healthcare.gov to find out about buying Obamacare. It looks like the public is saying, hey,
the public, at minimum, the public is saying, let's check this out.
Yeah.
Well, let's see what's going on here. And it would be nice if the servers had the capacity to handle the traffic.
Mm-hmm.
But
that's an
again,
issue.
If 7 million people aren't going to find out the horrors that await them, put it that way.
Right. Yeah. Which shows at least there's an interest on the part of the public. We don't know. They don't have not released any. They probably don't know how many have actually signed up. But this is the checking out phase.
Yeah, and
right?
let's see where we are 6 months from now when the enrollment period ends. Let's look at the numbers then, and we'll have an initial sense of what the public thinks of this.
Meanwhile, John Boehner has said, okay, you may not like the shutdown, but don't worry because we are not going to let the country default on October 17. What does that mean? Should we trust him? And what price is he going to ask for that? We'll get into that next.
This is the Bill Press Show. Streaming live video right now at youtube.com/TawkrTV. That's TAWKR-TV. This is The Bill Press Show.
All right, here we go now. It is 33 minutes after the hour. This is Friday, October 4. It is The Bill Press Show, and we are brought to you today by the National Education Association. The good men and women of the NEA under President Dennis Van Rokel, creating great public schools for every student in America. You bet we salute our teachers in the classroom, thank them for their support, and urge you to check out their good work at their website, NEA.org. Here on this Friday morning, we're pleased to have in studio with us, as a friend of Bill this hour, Robert Schlesinger from U.S. News and World Report, managing editor for Opinion. Robert, again, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
And we're joined by Neda Semnani, who is the web editor for the Baffler. You're also in studio with us. Hi, Neda. Nice to see you again.
It's good to see you.
You've moved from the roll call to the Baffler.
That is true. We're all baffled, always.
Well,
to be fair, I'm generally baffled at all times, so it's perfect for it.
TheBaffler.com is the website. Well, we're all baffled by what goes on here in Washington, but particularly baffled these days. I would say you covered Congress almost day to day there for the roll call. I mean, you did.
Yeah, for CQ and
for the roll call. Have you ever seen it break down the way it has today?
No. And I grew up in the city, so I really haven't seen it break down like this before. I'm going to give myself 3 decades of at least being around in some fashion. No, I haven't. And in fact, I assume it's because I left covering it every day that everyone's completely lost their minds. No, but in all seriousness, I haven't. And what I think everyone who's watched Congress, I think with very few exceptions, have seen the past 3 or 4 Congresses kind of devolve into this complete stalemate. Like I was thinking back on when I first started covering the floor for CQ, we would have appropriations bills passed. We would have at least an omnibus. There would be a vote-a-rama, which was the Senate, voting on the budget. And then the other thing that, kind of struck me in the past few weeks, or in the past week, I suppose, since the government shut down, is people kept looking back to 17 years ago and saying, well, this has happened before, and really it's not that big a deal, or a big deal, but it's, we've done it before and we've survived, except that it was a different time, I think. Spending levels were different, and there hadn't been this steady decline and kind of cutting into the bone of program spending across the government, as there has been in the past 2 years for sure. So it's a very different shutdown right now. I mean, people are really struggling. And then, this is coming after the Great Recession. So I just think of talk about kicking people when they're down, like they were just about to start getting up. And these aren't, it was park rangers, which, park rangers, or,
They don't make a lot of money.
They don't make a lot of money, it turns out. Or, cafeteria workers at the museums. There are other people as well who make a lot more money, but it doesn't really matter. It's not their fault that Congress hasn't been able to get its act together.
Given that, Robert, okay, I have a son, I have a daughter-in-law who are both furloughed right now, and I'm not whining because of my family. They could afford it more than others, maybe, but still, this is tough. These are 800,000 employees who have families, who have bills to pay, who have obligations. They're not making 6 figures, none of them.
And right now they're not making anything.
Right now they're not making anything. And by the way, they're not going to get that money back. This is time where they just don't get paid for. So why isn't there more public outrage about this, Robert? Why isn't the public, why isn't the mall filled with people protesting what Congress is doing?
I confess it's my fault. No, but I think part of it is because we're talking about
to get Americans pissed off.
I think part of it is that we in the Beltway focus on this and obsess on this, but outside the Beltway, people don't care as much, and
But those people are all over the country.
They're annoyed with Congress, and that Congress, and we know specifically the Republicans, but a lot of people just think Congress, Washington, they throw up their hands.
Yeah.
They're annoyed with them, but they have other everyday issues that are occupying them, and they elect people to Congress so they don't have to worry about this, or they have, let's be honest, they're not listening to the Bill Press show. They're watching Good Morning America or watching something on YouTube, or they're not as politically engaged. And 3-4 days in, it's still a nuisance. It hasn't reached the level of people actually looking up and saying, wait a second, this is really starting to irritate me. And when that happens, that's when the shutdown ends.
Well, I mean, sorry.
But I was just going to say, I just hope it happens.
But the other thing is, we're not talking so much about the workers because we're talking about the World War II memorial.
Right. Well, and here's the thing that has been really interesting. I've been working out of coffee shops this week for whatever reason, but I think partly because it's interesting watching people kind of talk about this in their everyday lives, whether it's bartenders or I was sitting next to a group of government workers who were trying to figure out how to apply for unemployment yesterday, and it was a really interesting conversation. One of them didn't qualify, the other ones did. But I'm noticing, just walking through the city, people are actually starting to kind of freak out. I mean, I think right now they just need to figure out how to make ends meet. That's my sense, or at least from people I've been talking to. The other thing that I think will start hopefully getting through to people is that Speaker Boehner could fund the government pretty much now. He has the votes. Like, it's not a thing. So he essentially, we are all in this mess because he doesn't want to lose his speakership. I mean, maybe I'm oversimplifying it, but I think that's not a crazy way to look at it.
Is she oversimplifying?
No.
That's what it is.
To put it very simply, or maybe oversimply, no, she's not. I mean, if they brought a clean continuing resolution, a clean funding bill to the floor right now, it would pass. It may not pass with a majority of Republican votes, but it would pass with a majority of House votes, and that's what you need. And
that's all you need.
That's.
I want to pick up on that because yesterday, Eric Cantor, number 2 Republican in the House, said if we brought a clean resolution to the floor, it would not pass because Democrats would not vote for it. Congressman Jim McDermott was in studio yesterday. Last hour. And he said, that is total nonsense. They have caucused on this as Democrats. Nancy Pelosi has whipped them as leader. They're already, all 200 of them, however many there are, they are in a block, ready to vote for it. And at least 20 Republicans have stood up and said, we will vote for it. So the votes are there. Let's just say the votes are there.
If Eric Cantor actually believed that, we'd be voting on a clean CR right now. They'd be voting on a clean CR right now.
Absolutely.
Because they would if they could get the Democrats to vote against opening the government on a clean CR, they would do it in a second.
Yeah, excellent point. And the reason that Boehner will not call that vote, which he could, is because he believes that that those rump Tea Partiers would challenge him and successfully and dethrone him.
But the stinker of it all is, by the way, he might still lose his speakership. Like, there's no reason why he should keep it. Because they have all, I mean, why would you keep somebody else who's basically a figurehead as a speaker when you have Cantor as the number 2? And, Cantor and Boehner have a lovely little relationship.
Or McCarthy or whatever.
Yeah,
You've
but
got
you can put in people that you don't have to, hold a hostage, essentially.
Yeah. You could have your
so
own guy, rather than somebody that you're forcing to do what you want to do.
Yeah, so I feel like Boehner's learning a lesson I learned in middle school, which is just do the right thing.
Stand up to the bully.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, just get her done. Get her done.
Get her done. That's the message of the day. Get her done. But will they? And what will it take? Maybe it's not the biggest deal, but I think it was unfortunate and maybe a mistake for President Obama to shut down his trip to Asia, because it kind of again lets the rump Tea Partiers determine what the agenda of the country is. I know some people say, well, the optics would have looked bad for the president to be on Air Force One and spending all that money while the government is shut down. But at the same time, you're going to let Steve King decide, What?
Like, that's the most powerful
Please
thing
no.
Stephen King's
rather
ever
let Stephen
done.
King decide rather than Steve King.
Yeah, right.
Might as well. I mean,
Should he have gone to Asia or the summit?
Yeah, I think he probably should have. I think for the point you make, and
I would have gone.
and,
At least not do the side trips, but do the summit.
Yeah, don't do the side trips. Do the summit. Say, look, I don't care about the optics. I care about the job.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I agree. It's a really the fact that the entire world is looking at us perplexed, and that this is the first time in my lifetime that I can remember America not being able to kind of rest on its laurels and be like, well, you can say everything else you want to say, but we have the Constitution, but we have like this working democracy.
Yeah.
This is the first time I can think of where it's a really problematic argument to make.
I had a conversation with a woman who covers the White House, part of our White House press corps for Turkish TV, and she was saying, you should try to explain to people in another country what's going on in the United States right now. They say, what? You shut down the government? What? Over what? I mean, no. Think about it.
It's my favorite part. In any other country, they would be like on the streets.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we've got Neda Semnani from the Baffler, Robert Schlesinger, U.S. News and World Report, and you, remember, you're always free to join the conversation. We'll find a seat at the table for you at 866-55-PRESS.
This is the Bill Press Show. streaming live video right now at youtube.com/TawkrTV. That's TAWKR-TV. This is The Bill Press Show.
Hey, here we go. 13 minutes now before the top of the hour. Robert Schlesinger here as a friend of Bill. He's the managing editor for opinion of U.S. News and World Report. All opinions welcome, I guess. Is that
absolutely?
Is that what your the sign over your office
Yeah,
says?
exactly.
Neda Semnani is the web editor for the Baffler, which you can find at thebaffler.com. A fairly new site, isn't it?
The blog's new.
The blog is
the
new.
magazine's been around for a long time, but yeah.
Ned in studio with us as well. Before we go to the calls, friends, I just saw Huffington Post reporting now that the number is up to 21 Republicans who have publicly said that they will. So, what I want to do is why those guys, whoever they are, don't go to Boehner and say, we're the block here now. That we're there's as many of us as there are of those Tea Partiers. So,
they did
listen
try.
to us.
That's the one thing. There's a couple things that people haven't talked about, which I was talking to some reporters about, wondering why it hasn't caught steam. First, there was a group of moderates. I think we should call them the governance class because
not moderates, but pragmatists.
Pragmatists,
exactly.
Reality-based
Reality-based
because you're talking about Peter King, which is not a moderate,
right.
and then Charlie Dent of Pennsylvania, who were the only two.
I think pragmatist is a good term.
Yeah, and also who are there to do, frankly, their job.
Right.
But then the other thing is that the Democrats gave a huge concession, right? They said, well, let's fund the government, but we'll do it at sequestration level.
At the sequestration level, which is, people haven't picked up on that. Basically, this is the Paul Ryan budget, which they've agreed to.
So this is what you want. Like there are certain things I just.
So why don't they put up a sign that said "Mission accomplished" or "We won"? And move on. That Mike is calling from Madison, Wisconsin on 92.1 The Mike. Hey, Mike, what do you say?
Well, I'll tell you what, it is embarrassing when you look at Americans, how disengaged they are and how uninformed they are. And I can't explain to you why, but I can explain why the Republicans have fought so hard to defeat the Affordable Care Act. And I believe this is what's going to happen. When the American people find out that the Health Care Act was a benefit to all of us, what makes the Republicans so scared is that they're going to know that people are going to want more. When they have their health, they're going to take the pursuit of happiness. We're going to have the energy to ask for more money, to ask for a higher quality, a better quality of life so that we can spend time with our families, we can educate our children. They're in trouble. They know it. And I bet you when we turn the corner on this, that's exactly what's going to happen. We're not going to shrink government. We're going to expand it.
All right. Thank you, Mike. Good to hear from you out in Madison, Wisconsin. I think he makes a point that they are afraid that Obamacare is going to succeed. No?
And this shows the contradiction of the Republican messaging, where on the one hand they say, this is a disaster the American people hate and we must do anything to stop it. On the other hand, they say, we have to stop it by October 1st, because if we don't, we'll never get rid of it because people love it so much. And it can't be both. Yeah. I mean, if you watch The Simpsons, do you remember The Simpsons where Homer creates tobacco, which is a radioactive hybrid between tomatoes and tobacco? And people say, I hate it. Give me more. This ain't tobacco. I mean, there's no tobacco in the real world. It's either terrible or people will love it, but it can't be both, which is what the Republicans are trying to say it is.
Right.
Yeah. Jay Carney told us yesterday at the White House that 7 million people checked into the website in the first 2 days.
I've been trying to get on. I haven't been able to do it, but
which is more people than check Southwest Airlines in a month.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
I mean,
it shows, at least, as Robert said earlier, there's some interest in it.
Well, of course, yeah. I mean, there are certain things that I think are pretty clear. People are always talking about healthcare, or have been at least. And in other countries, this isn't even an issue. Of course, healthcare is going to be one of those things.
Impacts each one of us. David is out in Chicago. Hey, David, good morning.
Good morning, Bill. You know, when President Bush got the country whipped up in fear, that's when we all walked in lockstep in support of the invasion. It was because everybody was afraid. Now we're talking about something that for many Americans is an irritation. We're looking at that the two parties are fighting each other And if people aren't invested in one position or another, they almost see it as two opposing positions that they don't need to support either, that it'll work itself out.
Yeah. David, that's a good point. A lot of people do feel, don't you think, Neda, that it's a pox on both our houses, right? Rather than...
Just fair enough.
Huh?
It is fair. I mean, people are...
Which I don't think is correct. I think there's clearly one party's responsible here, but most Americans, I think, just see it as Congress. Right, Robert? Don't you?
Yeah, and I think that's probably gets back to why aren't more people up in arms? Is they say, it's the system. What can we do? It's not. It's not one specific group, but it's our system's not working as opposed to one party's not working.
Right. Sorry.
No, I was just I've seen so many interviews with people who are in town. They can't go to the museums. Right, they're down on the mall or whatever, and they're frustrated. And when they talk to reporters, they just say, I blame them both. I blame both sides.
Well, yeah, or I think the message, it's our fault in a certain sense that we're not getting all the facts out there in a clear enough manner. Because I hear people talking about it,
so we have to do a better job.
We have to do a better job, guys.
We're working at it. We're working
failing.
at it. All right. But Neda Semnani's working at the Baffler, thebaffler.com, and Robert Schlesinger at U.S. News and World Report. And you know me, I'm banging it out here 3 hours a day. And I'll get the last word, as always, with a parting shot coming up next.
This is the Bill Press Show. The Parting Shot with Bill Press. This is the Bill Press Show.
Hey, just got to mention, because we haven't had time, that Wendy Davis announced for governor of Texas yesterday. Go, Wendy, go. Turn Texas blue. Meanwhile, here we go again with that big question, who's essential and who's not? Now, you've heard my rant. I think if you're going to have a shutdown, the only way for people to learn how important government is to our lives is to have a total shutdown. That includes no postal delivery, no border guards, no Social Security checks, no paychecks, no meat and poultry inspectors. Shut the whole damn thing down. So I almost fell off my chair yesterday when Jay Carney announced that with Hurricane Karen headed for Florida, hundreds of FEMA employees are being called back from furlough. I think that's a huge mistake. People will never know how bad the shutdown is unless it really hurts. If a hurricane hits and FEMA's on the job, as always, there might as well not be any shutdown. By reopening FEMA, the White House is doing just what Republicans in Congress are doing, picking what parts of the government they like and funding those. Piecemeal funding, which is wrong. Make it hurt. Keep FEMA shut down. Sorry, Florida, but complain to John Boehner, not to me. Have a great weekend, folks. See you back here Monday morning.
This is the Bill Press Show.